Warning: the following audio may contain coarse language and other materials that may not be suitable for a younger audience. The opinions expressed in this audio are solely those of the speakers involved. These conversations may contain spoilers for current media such as games, comics, movies, television shows, and more. Grown Geeks makes no claim to ownership of the various media discussed, simply the opinions expressed. Listener discretion is advised.
That's still so weird.
I did Mario. Shame on me. But I had to get home in time to watch Power Rangers.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, man.
So
shit. That's Jeff.
Even tell like jump scare.
Jump scare.
Jump scare.
Oh. I love it.
I am going to move us just a wee bit so I want to cover everybody up with the overlay. I done messed up and got to playing with Photopia, man, and think I could do some stuff. And
he done found the free Photoshop. It's over.
You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, like, I actually take a little time and played with this stuff to try to like learn it and stop being like intimidated. Like, I don't know how to do it. Now, granted, all my stuff looks like garbage compared to somebody that does it regularly, but I'm still slightly pleased with what little bit I'm doing. And it gives Jeff a break. I don't have to always be like, Jeff, can you do this? Jeff, can you do this? Jeff, can you do this? So big stuff, I'll be like, Jeff, I need you to do this. But this little piddly stuff, thumbnails and stuff, like I ain't gonna waste his time with that. I can figure that out. Granted, it takes me like an hour and a half for something he can do in like literally 10 minutes.
That's how you know you're getting old, Sam.
We all got to start somewhere.
That's how you don't know what you're doing versus someone that knows what they're doing. So it's big difference. All right. Welcome, Geeks. We are Grown Geeks. This is Weigh In Wednesday. You are awesome for being here. Man, we are already jumping up in the comments. What's going on, folks?
Hey.
Power Rangers. You know what? We can jump right into Power Rangers just because. So actually, you know what? I'm just going to send one quick text because I thought Northup was going to get on, but maybe he decided not to. But I do have to actually show the photos from the Ren Festival. We went to the Georgia Ren Festival. David Northup, best friend, buddy. We went opening day. Today is his birthday, so big shout out to David.
Shit.
Happy birthday.
Yes, sir.
And as annual, we go to Renfest for his birthday because it's usually like right around the same time, opening weekend, whatnot. So we went Saturday, and I took a ton of pictures. And
Sam, real quick, can I do a drink check? Everyone, drink check.
Drink check.
Drink check. What we got?
Yes. So I am using my brand new custom rocks glasses. Got this at the Ren Festival, no less. Got a his and hers set. So we got got my custom Superman logo and got a Wonder Woman for the wife. And that was one of my expenses. I have a ton of cards and stuff for people who were there because you have some professional cosplayers that come out. But that's my glass. So I have my drink, and when that's gone, I got my backup. So, David, what you got? Because you had a nifty little thing there a moment ago. Hold that up.
Oh, this? Yeah.
No, not the glass. The decanter we were talking about.
Glass, though. My decanter.
The Crystal Skull.
Crystal Skull.
Which is full of
I figured
cherry vanilla rum.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Mixed with a strawberry and cream Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, we got you cut off already, man.
It's been a long day. I'm very tired.
I get it. Jeff, did you medicate before the show?
No, I've actually been unmedicated for a few days.
What?
Well, look at that.
You know, just so I can I don't want my tolerance to get crazy high. No pun intended.
Gotcha. All right. You know what?
But I do have a Sprite Zero.
All right, I'm gonna disappear for just a quick second. I'll be right back.
Yep. And see, but we got you that unfiltered tap water. That's how you do it right there. Going unfiltered, risky man, getting with it. And Russell had some Irish cream. He dare not drink anymore. Be passed out in the next 5. Linda, what do you have? What are you drinking?
I have just a basic Moscato. We're just doing the wine tonight.
Just a Moscato.
Moscato.
Nothing wrong with that. So, so went to Ren Festival and got a chance to see a bunch of cosplayers. And I'm just going to scrub through these photos real quick. Mainly because I'm going to actually upload this gallery to the group. Just because there were so many people that I got to see and I got to talk to a lot of people. And of course, I never shut up. I'm always telling people about the group. I'm like, hey, I do this, da-da-da. So I'm let them know I'm going to be putting this online. It's going to go in this group. Are you okay with that? And everybody's like, yeah, that'd just be really cool. And I was like, you know what? Here, scan this QR code. That QR code right over there. I have that on my phone. So people can scan that and immediately join and jump in the group. So we had a lot of people join. And I did tell them I would highlight their photos and if they would be shared, they would be shared. So I am going to share those photos. I'm just going to put this up and I'll just kind of let the videos speak for themselves. I mean, just let the pictures speak for themselves. But it was some really, really, really impressive cosplays. And I wanted to just highlight a few of those people who were doing things. So that is Dave. That is another one of his custom hats. Both he and Pam are wearing custom hats there. That's a nice little red hat he made and the blue hat he made.
Does that Jester have a penis on his head?
Actually, you know what? No, but it does see how it kind of curls here with the ball. It just happens that the top one is a very faded red. Okay.
It's the angle. It's a Jester hat, but it's the angle.
Yeah, it is but you know what?
David just walked by and heard me say stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, what?
This was apparently from World of Warcraft. I actually thought it was initially from Dragon Age. I thought it was one of the blood mages from Dragon Age. And I was like, oh, look at that. That is dope. But it turns out it's World of Warcraft. Don't know who she was, but she was there with him. And his cosplay was pretty dope. And I was like, no, you can stay in the picture. Go right ahead. This gentleman here, he actually has joined the group already. He was able to, reception was horrible that day. And for whatever reason, everybody had to join in later, but a lot of people took pictures of the QR codes, that kind of thing. But he does cosplay on a regular. I want to say he gave me one of his cards. I'm looking through them real quick to see if it's one of the people here. I don't see it. Doesn't stand out at me. But he's actually joined the group, and that was a fantastic troll he had. Not troll, but dwarf he had. I mean, with the prosthetic nose, ears, the whole nine. This is a video of my son very poorly shooting the bow and arrow.
David's going to have a blast with that this weekend.
Yeah. Very, very, very bad bows, though. So, there's another one further down, and I think it's just a little bit better. So I would say stick with that one.
Well, David actually bought a longbow from the Apple Festival we went to last year, I think. Yeah. My timelines are off, but not being said, I thought he's going to take it there and try it out. But yeah, David loves archery and stuff.
And so there's more photos just because my son also did the Hangman Challenge and had the record high for the day for a good bit. It got beat right before we left. Somebody at the end, he was actually coming in. He was at 62 seconds, and at 70 seconds, you win a prize. So if he went anywhere else, like in Vegas, he could hang for a minute. So I got to remember that. And next time we have one of those hang for a minute challenges, hey, get up there, win that money. But anybody who can hang 100 seconds, it was $100. This was a lot of fun. Check it out. What else we got? Video. Of course, you know, when you're out and you're trying to take pictures, you always mistakenly hit camera video. But then we had there's the Dread Pirate Roberts. We've got some Demon Slayer cosplay happening there. More Demon Slayer cosplay. He's only got one of his wives with him, but he's normally would have 3 wives. My son hopping in the picture there, and there were actually there was a whole family of the Demon Slayer. The only person they didn't have was Inosuke. But there's the other, at a Tanjiro. There was a Mandalorian running around. There was a Stormtrooper. He is part of the 501st and normally comes to cons. But I caught them when they were on a break, as it was rather warm, and I did not want to make him suffer to stay in his helmet and costume and such. A pirate and his winch, or her winch. We didn't have a discussion as to what the proper pronouns were, but
Is this when you go with they, them?
Them. that is what that was. That was
a pirate with their winch.
A pirate with their winch. Thank you. And I just want to be fair, that we didn't have a discussion. I didn't ask, but they were so kind. They did stop to take a picture, and it was a very intricate getup. So I was like, you know what? I want that picture. More pirates. They were actually really cool. We hung out with them for a little bit. They're actually family. The Dread Pirate Roberts and the Demon Slayer was part of that whole family. More pirates, a Vamp Witch. There's a Nezuko. We got Pirate Pool and some more pirates in the background. Random pirates and pictures. This was just one of those random photos. That was a really, really intricate helmet for that barbarian. Wanted to get a picture of that just because it was pretty cool. And everybody was whole family in cosplay, the family that cosplays together and whatnot. I actually sat through one of the jousting shows. I normally am too busy walking around, and the times for the shows, there's no cloud coverage, and if you don't get a good seat, you're just in the sun. So I was kind of hesitant, but we decided to suffer through, and it was a pretty entertaining show. So we stayed and we watched, and they jousted and they fought, and there was the king and queen and the royal. So we're up there and get to see some people jousting. Boom. It's funny. I don't know why it's skipping like that. Maybe because I'm recording and live streaming and hosting everything.
Probably.
Yeah. But as I said, that video doesn't skip. A fairy archer and their fairy.
There you go.
He gave me a very specific title, and I was like, if you don't write that down or tag me in this, I'm not going to remember what you said. But it is not just a crusader. He is like an inquisitor knight of something, and was basically saying that people who follow would know exactly what it was. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's like you an Illuminati knight. And he laughed and he was like, but yeah, kind of. So I was like, okay. I'd have to research that more. But apparently this right here, all of this is supposed to that's a big deal. That is on the scabbard, and that, of course, would help to identify to other Inquisitor, Imperial Knights, or whatever. That was Mrs. Tumnus. That was a vampire kind of futuristic fairy. Not quite steampunk, just, people having fun with cosplay. I'm with it. Let's do it. My man here was completely decked out. And I was just like, you gotta be hot. Gotta be. But this gentleman is, let's see. He provided a card. I don't have any of my glasses near me. So, Coyote Carforge. I will post it up later in the comments. But That's his card. He's one of those like real deal cosplayers where he had a card available when I stopped him for a picture. But very cool outfit. Wanted to highlight that. Just a family of winches. Just some winches at the fair.
Family of winches.
Family winches. But that's a really cool tattoo she has. I mean, she was like covered in tats, so of course we talked for a little minute. And but no, they were all very, very cool. There's a video coming up, but there were some fairy dancers, and there it is. We had some fairy dancers with their little butterfly fans. Not gonna make you sit and watch the whole video to get loaded up later. Another group of cosplayers, just some random adventurers. It was actually an instrument, and she was playing it, which was. Oh, wait. You know them? Which ones? The family of winches? Probably. Or this group. One of them. I'm sure you know one. And of course, my son kind of hiding out in the background from the photo. He was like playing Where's Waldo all day, so you'll just randomly see him in photos. Like his head would just be sticking out of the corner over here. Again, a lot of leather armor. Looked a little warm. But anybody who took time and was dedicated, I felt needed to be highlighted because it was a lot of good cosplay, and I wanted to just showcase the cosplay. An entire family of cosplay, and I was just like, we got to highlight this. Like this is a whole moment. This is a whole vibe. And we stopped. We took some photos. We sat and kicked it for a little bit. We talked. Even my man back here in the Gambit, which is. You check, I saw Jeff's head pop up. A man back here in the Gambit. And he actually has playing cards, but somebody else had picked them up at that exact moment. But in one of the other photos that he took, he was holding up like 3 cards. It was pretty cool. But of course, I just get him with the cigar. So I don't know what my man was doing, but he was just so pimped out. And his whole conversation was just a lot of fun.
It's Billy D. Shakespeare.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it was funny because just like, and that's kind of how it went down because he had the Colt 45 voice going, and it was pretty cool. So
like, hark, baby.
And so, but yeah, we again, my man's in full garb. Got to take time. Got to show the respect. Got to show a little love and take that photo. Another family. Wizard, warlock, someone from the Shire, and a elf. And at first I was like, elf, but then she did bring up that she is wearing the little she has the jewelry ears, but still elf ears. So I was like, oh, okay. I see it.
Last year was my first year going because I actually live like literally right around the corner from where they have it. Mm-hmm. And so I took my son last year. It was like my first time going, and I was actually very pleasantly surprised at like how many Black people were there, like in full like cosplay. Oh, cool. I mean, cosplay it's not my thing, but I like that, I like living in a place where it's like, yeah, like you got all types of Black people, including
the cosplayers. Including the cosplayers, exactly.
I've decided cosplaying like the quote unquote like cool happening like Black Panther and all that stuff. It's like, nah, we got Black elves and dwarves and nymphs and
exactly. And there was like anybody who went all out with their costume, I made it a point to highlight them, but there was a little bit of a bias perhaps in my photos, as it was a little bit of community taking place while I was there. We had a good time. And I do plan on cosplaying myself. I've decided initially I was going to go pirate myself, because Dave is going to do pirate. And of course, we would be up there hanging out together. And I was like, I don't want anybody confused, like who's the captain, who's the first mate, and we got separate ships. It'd be a lot of explaining. I try to do all that. And pirate isn't really my thing. I was like, you know what? Steampunk.
that's what I'm gonna do. Steampunk, because it's tinkering, it's technology, it's a little bit more, innovative and that mechanical, that build, that techie side. I'm all about that. So I could definitely get on board with that. And that's we looked at some stuff, and I'm gonna go with steampunk next time I head out. Young lady right here is actually the Floppy Bunny. So we have a forest fairy and a Floppy Bunny. We got Link in the house. My man had the Master Sword, full get up, and was looking for some jars to smash, some pottery to break through. I found myself in here because, of course, this was a leather shop, and they have all the little doodads to kind of help get some ideas for working on my steampunk cosplay. I don't know. I'll try to incorporate like steampunk, maybe cyberpunk, mix of both. My man here, he had a card also. He actually had a whole handler. Like, I guess, I don't know if he just can't talk in that or what the case may be, but as I was like talking to that person, they were just kind of like shaking their head, yes and no and whatnot. And then a few moments later, somebody else walks over, hands me a card, and just starts talking to me. And I was like, well, I was talking to, oh, okay. You're with them. Got it. Okay. Because I was like, and who are you? Because I wasn't, had to catch myself because I was just like, bruh, excuse me, talking to them.
I'm looking at these costumes. I'm like, I know this car ride home is musty.
You know what? That is
leather, heat, friction,
and a lot of cons. This was just a guy we stopped. He had some cool tattoos, and we just chit chat with him while we were standing in line for something. But he has Destiny, got all the different character types right there, Hunter, Warlocks, and Titans. This apparently is from, I think that's Warhammer we were talking about. And the hat is from One Piece. And if I'm not mistaken, little smileys up there are from another anime. Dave?
No, they're both from One Piece. That's just a hat.
Okay, the whole hat together.
Yeah.
Got it. He had a couple other tattoos on the underside. I know there was a Nightwing symbol, Red Hood, and a Batman symbol. So, pictures of him. Just because this was just a unique group to be traveling together, I was like, let me get this photo, just because this makes for an interesting photo. A nobleman, a pirate, and a djinn. Not a genie, a djinn. They wanted me to be very clear. I was like, isn't it just called a djinn? He was like, no, it's djinn. I was like, okay.
What was I watching that had that in there? Was that Miss Marvel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Miss Marvel, they were talking about the djinn, which is basically genius. Also would have heard it in The Witcher, and it would have come up if you watched the Will Smith remake of Aladdin. Steampunk and fairy. So this is typically what people kind of think of, and you kind of go this route with steampunk and whatnot. Of course, it's the buckles, it's the sashes, it's still the leather. I already have a couple of top hats. I have a couple of pairs of goggles. I'm gonna do it up and have all the bolts and the ratchets and the sprockets and the cogs and stuff. So that'll be my contribution. 3 winches. They just happened to be in the area as we were walking, and I was already taking pictures. And it's kind of funny because in a lot of the times when I got ready to take pictures, I had to open up with Grown Geeks and show them the QR code, explain who I was and what I was doing. Because otherwise it just seems weird. Like, hey, you 3 girls, can I take your picture? Seems weird. So to not be that weird guy, it was, but it also helped that a lot of times people would see me take 2 or 3 pictures over here. And then when I came to them to ask to take a picture, they were a little more disarmed because obviously I'm taking a lot of pictures. Another whole family. This is a little bit more accurate for the steampunk for those who are not familiar. So here again, the cogs, this cane, this steampunk cane, was kind of dope. We took a highlight of the cane, but husband and wife steampunk. Kid kind of went with the steampunk. You can see he's got the cogs and stuff on the hat. And I don't know if that was the daughter or the girlfriend, but she was complete opposite end. She went full fairy. So, but this whole family together and seeing that's like cog sprockets and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, let me like figure out a way to turn that into something that would fire. And I'd be with it. Kind of go with a multi-purpose cane. So he's got like a rune on his forehead. So of course they're like Vikings and such he has on the kilt. And again, just like the commitment in the cosplay is like something to be commended. This is actually where I got my, is this where I got my glasses? Yes, this is where I got my glasses. So again, my custom glasses etched onto the glass itself. I have my Superman and I have a Wonder Woman, his and her set. Really good deal. And I have a coupon here I have a card here when you return. So if I get to you and you want to get something 10% off your next purchase. This young couple right here, really cool. She's doing the steampunk thing. They're actually getting married and they're having a steampunk wedding. And nice. It was really cool to just sit and chit chat with them for a minute. It took forever, but this was such a good picture of them that I like sent them this actual picture. So he has actually joined the group and he's actually liked a few things and made a post already. So kind of dope. Of course, it's just a thing about community. So hopefully we'll hear from them a little bit more. They were cool people. My man here was like decked out and he's got like 4 swords on him. It's just like, he's that dude. And I'm like, you know what? If I was on a pirate ship and he was the type of person to jump on my pirate ship, you know what? It's yours, bro. You can have it. Like, we ain't trying to fight.
Right.
My man in the back with a kilt. Plague Doctor here. He had a card. I'm just going to take pictures. You know what? When I load all this stuff up to the gallery, it'll all be there because I'm not going to sit here and go through these each time. But Plague Doctor, he's there. I don't know what the exact theme was. It was something giving me Robin Hood vibes.
Yeah, it looked like Big John or Little John, not Big John.
Yeah. Big John, I think, is a John Wayne movie or something. But yeah, definitely giving Little John vibes. And okay, so the pirate on the right, she is a cosplayer, YouTuber, etc. Her name is Tinker the Pirate. Tinker the Pirate. You can find her on Facebook under her name. You can feel free to contact her, tag her in photos. She loves meeting and keeping up with all friends. Has her phone number posted on the card, so I won't be posting that portion of it. But she is a YouTuber. You can find her under Tinker the Pirate. Cool young lady. And that was her mom there with her, and they are both like fully decked out and have like the whole get up. That's me with Tattooed Santa. I don't know how he managed to stay in that big ass coat. I was like wishing I could. I honestly wished I'd had on shorts at this point because I was hot. Like I was hot, and my man had on the full gear. Even if he takes that coat off, he still has on the full undergear. But it's really cool. Tattooed Santa has a naughty and nice tattoo along with a bunch of Celtic runes. Really cool guy. I've seen him there numerous times. He actually remembered me because, of course, every time I go, I have on my Superman shirt, and I'm always with Dave. So, of course, we stand out like a sore thumb. We've met him a couple of times. They were also really, really cool and stopped to take some pictures. This is a tiefling from Dungeons and Dragons class. A race in Dungeons and Dragons. Tieflings are think of like Hellboy. Hellboy would essentially be a tiefling. So you see the horns, the tail, the whole nine. For My Hero Academia fans, we got Icy Hot right here, Todoroki. But this is a cleric version.
I started back watching My Hero a little bit.
Where are you at right now?
Oh, I'm not far at all. It's like I think I'm right after they fought the dude who licks the blood.
Stain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's good headway. Though. I mean, that's
everybody just finished their like internship, and I think they're like coming back, and they're about to fight the teachers.
Gotcha. Oh, that was that was a good battle right there. Watching the people that he actually runs this website. It's a Facebook group, unofficial Georgia Ren Festival. And this young lady, a winch, they actually stopped and talked and took some pictures. And I was like, well, if you're taking that picture, you got to take this picture. She laughed, but she did. She actually joined the group because we were in an area where she could like scan the QR code and join up immediately. So she is a member of the group and happy to have her. And that was it. That was the photos I took. Those, and honestly, a lot of them. I actually had more photos, but some of them were just like duplicates in different angles. So I was like, you know what? We'll just kind of get to the main ones. I did get some other stuff, some other purchases I made. This was young lady who was an artist. Where's her card? Because I do want to highlight her. This young lady here, Teacup Fairy things and collectibles. Teacup Fairy. Stop by her vendor booth. It has a lot of really cool curios and collectibles, and she was really, really cool, really, really sweet. We were able to sit and chit chat for a good little bit. She has nifty stuff in her shop. There's an artist. Got this photo of a fairy for the wife. Just something cool she can kind of post up and have somewhere on the desk or wherever she likes. Also by the same artist. Very talented artwork. A lot of really good artwork she had. I mean, some stuff that I was honestly like, just wanted to buy a couple of pictures just to put some stuff up and around. And where is her card?
David, are you getting on, by the way?
I did get on, and you logged off immediately after I got on.
Because I was trying to get my Fantasia working.
Anise Designs. That is Haley Anise is the artist. You can find her at Anise Designs on Instagrams or anisedesigns.com. That is ANISE. But that's her artwork. Very talented. I liked that all of her fairies weren't the same little cookie cutter Tinkerbell design. She had a variety of fairies. So there was somebody that everybody could kind of feel like, oh, that looks like someone I know. And that was positive and made me happy. And as a result, I bought some stuff. So yeah, I had a great time at the Renaissance Festival. And the next time I go, I am going to be cosplaying some steampunk. I've already got a couple of the things and pieces for it. And I'll just be adding, and I'll be using my 3D printer to make some stuff for it. But that was me at the Georgia Ren Festival. Enjoyed myself. And David, you and Linda, you all are going real soon, right?
Yes, this weekend, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, then we can. You know what? We can do a deep dive maybe next week. If you all go this weekend, we can talk about it next week. We can like really pick apart the Georgia Renaissance Festival, talk about all the different things there, the good, the bad, the whole nine, and we could make that a whole show. I just wanted to highlight those photos, as I did kind of, for lack of a better phrase, promise those people that they would be spotlighted. But part of why a lot of them agreed for the photos, I'm sure, was because, I specifically said I would be doing that. So I owe it to them, and I thank them for stopping to take photos. But it was such a great community of people that was there at the Ren Festival as a whole. So, a lot of fun. On to movies. So this is the moment. This is the time. We're going to go ahead and where is it? Oh, I've got to edit this one. Let's edit. Let's take that out. Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Mario Bros. Movie. Oh. This is absolutely going to be a spoiler review.
Yeah.
as much as I would not like to have anybody leave, if you have not seen the Super Mario Brothers movie and you don't want anything ruined, now would be the time to come back later. But if you're here and you're with us and you don't mind spoilers, I will say, like, if you've ever played Mario Brothers, it ain't a whole lot that's gonna get spoiled. I mean, I really don't feel like there's anything that could be spoiled per se. You know what I'm saying?
David, why aren't you wearing your Bowser key goo for this?
Because it's hot in this room.
There's a whole AC unit in the window.
I know, and I have it on right now. It's still hot, and I don't want to wear it right now.
Well, use your puppet then.
Why is it? Wait, nope. That is.
Show off all your fun Bowser stuff. As our resident Bowser person.
That is not the one I wanted. It is. The screen is doing weird things. I apologize if your screens are doing weird stuff. I don't mean for it to do that. Okay, well, we're gonna keep it moving. So.
Yep.
Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia.
The Sonic movies were better.
All right, I'm gonna need you to stop right now.
Right in.
Calm it down.
Right
I mean,
in.
there were
Settle
still good movie. Sonic movies are better.
Settle down.
What?
Tell us
That's
how
not
you
even
really
a controversial take.
You know what? I'm not disagreeing with that statement, though.
See?
Mm.
I feel like we
But I
all
think
just feel like we need to band together right now to stick it to the critics because they're being a lot more harsh with it than, I mean, as we expect from critics. But yeah, they're being a lot more harsh to the movie than it actually deserves. But it's still a fun movie. But like I put it on par with like a little lower than like the second Wreck-It Ralph movie.
The second Wreck-It Ralph movie.
Maybe on par with the second Wreck-It Ralph movie.
Okay. While I can agree that the Sonic movies were better, I think the story that they told with the Sonic movies was more interesting. Okay, so first off, just getting into what this Mario movie was, there is absolutely no explanation. Like, why were those pipes down there? There's just, I mean, it's not one of those things where I want to sit here and just pick the movie apart. Let me be clear. I enjoyed myself. I had a good time. There was a lot of like pointing at the screen. There was a lot of moments where it was like, you know, I recognize this, I recognize that. They honestly, they fit as much as was logically eligible to fit into a movie in terms of, and I air quote this, lore and Easter eggs. The Mario Brothers story is not, what is the story? Bowser kidnaps Peach. You go save Peach and grab the axe and knock the bridge out and put Bowser in the lava and you save the princess. Or you get to the end and you find out that the princess is in another castle. Mm-hmm. That is what Mario Brothers is. Now, as they've gone through all these other games, and you got Super Mario 1, Super Mario, then you have like 2, 3, Super Mario Sunshine, however many Mario games there are, because there's so much stuff, like maybe now they're starting to get into like, oh, here's more of the story. Here's something different. But
end of the day,
it's
a plumber.
It is a simple story. Yes, there is a simple story,
and I'm good
because the whole thing is like, too. I mean, and I'm sure the gamers can correct me if I'm wrong. But
I will.
The only reason why Mario is wearing overalls is just because they had to just put something there. That was what they had to do to show that he had like arms. Otherwise, his like body was just going to be like a blob.
The mustache. Okay, so I do know that the character design when it was originally out on Nintendo Entertainment System, the character design,
full government name,
right, on the NES, the mustache was there to separate his face from his body. Because of the pixel limitations, like you said, the overalls are just so that you can see his body defined. The gloves are just so you can tell what his hand is.
Yeah.
That way it's not just
because really, like, there's nothing really about him in the game when you in the original that's like plumber, except for the fact that it's a whole bunch of like pipes.
Do. Like, that's it. There was nothing that was definitive to say that.
Like, it's not like he uses like water to like
Super Mario
do
Sunshine.
anything.
But
I don't even know what that is. That's how far down the road that is for me.
Okay, so all in all, like if I had to give this movie any kind of rating, if I go with and just so that I can, judge it more accurately, I would say on a 10-point scale, I would give this movie 7.5 overall. There's nothing wrong with this movie. It hits all the points it needs to hit. It explains who the characters are, why they're doing what they're doing, their motivations, and you get a hero moment. There are things I could go through and do to nitpick and pick the movie apart if I wanted to complain about something. But I enjoyed myself. I laughed, I cried, I had a good time. It's a good overall movie. I don't understand why it's gotten any of the negative stuff. But I mean, we've talked about this, how these people who are having to do professional reviews are not prepared to review movies like this.
/ don't want to.
Bingo.
Because they're about cinema.
Right.
And it's every couple years you have the Martin Scorsese articles and folks talking about it's ruining movies. And it's just like, actually, it's kind of keeping the film industry afloat and keeping movie theaters open, because your cinema movies that win all these awards are not grossing what these franchise movies are grossing. And that's not to say that like there isn't an issue in Hollywood in terms of like creating original stories and allowing creators to tell things that aren't tied to IP, but you're mad at the wrong people. You need to be talking about movie executives and why they're not greenlighting things and giving people a chance to make smaller budget movies that tell different stories. That's not Marvel's fault. Kevin Feige's not going into the executive's office like, F these other guys, like, you need to just make Marvel movies only. Like, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau aren't telling people not to work on others, not to greenlight other films. You know what I'm saying? Jon Favreau's still making independent movies. You know what I mean? And then also when you look at it, A24 probably they're making money and they're winning awards. So I have to look at it now when I hear people like Scorsese or Tarantino and all those guys complaining about stuff. I'm like, dog, you need to get back in the gym, work on your art, study your craft, because it's also like, why are you complaining? Like Martin Scorsese, you walk in and you can pretty much get any and everything made that you want to get made. You're at that point in your career, and yet you keep choosing to make mafia movies about like old dudes. So what's the difference between you doing that and Marvel making comic book movies? Like you're a genre guy too. You're basically an IP guy too. So yeah, I feel you on that. I think that's really what it boils down to. It's like, if I'm a serious critic and got into it because I love Casablanca and I love, all these like movies that you see on like Turner Classic Movies and stuff like that. You asked me to go review a movie about a cartoon jumping up and down through pipes to save a princess and fighting a ape. I'm gonna be like, what are you asking me to do? It's like, you gotta also just like have the right. I feel like I've said this before. You gotta have the right critic for the film as well, and that doesn't necessarily mean somebody's gonna let them off the hook, but they're also gonna be more understanding about like what the movie is trying to do, and they can be, I feel like, honest and true to that instead of like getting on a soapbox about like what cinema needs to be and should be and what it used to be. It's like, I don't care, dog. That's over. Like, the movies also still exist.
Yeah, I mean, there's still time and places for that. For every West Side Story remake, you know what I'm saying, where somebody's actually going for cinema, you know what I'm saying? Because we're still going to get The Whale. We're still going to get those kind of movies. Those movies are never going to stop being made. But like you said, at the same time, bills got to get paid. People have to get, checks got to clear and that sort of stuff. So we need to put something in theaters that people are going to go pay to see so we can make all this other money. David.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Super Mario Brothers movie.
All right. So
David, go ahead and start up a queue.
That's what I said. Let me buckle in real quick. Hold on. Seatbelt on. Okay.
Actually, I guess as per usual, I have more criticisms about the movie or negative criticisms about the movie than David does. But yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll hit on all of it.
Yeah.
You'll get a moment.
All right, so I'm gonna get my negatives out of the way real quick. So, as a whole, the plot did feel just a bit rushed in the second half. I understand there's a lot that we got to get through. There's a lot of set pieces that we want to show off, but like it feels like we didn't give enough time to the set pieces that we really wanted to show off. Like, there was the whole bit where they were journeying off to the Kong Kingdom, and we went through all these set pieces, including Yoshi's Island, which would have been really fun to kind of look through and see and actually, hang out with Yoshi, which would have been cool. But no, we just, it exists. Maybe next movie, sure, okay. Also, Luigi was barely in the movie, which I don't get.
He was in the entire movie, but they reduced him to, I mean, you talk about a player too. Like, his controller wasn't even plugged in half the movie, dog.
It was kind of weird. It was kind of weird. Like, and I like Charlie Day as Luigi was really good, but we just needed more.
David, start the queue.
Hold on, let me talk.
Okay, shit. I figured you can talk while we're waiting for the queue. For both DPS, it's going to take a second.
Yeah. See, I already lost my train of thought.
Charlie Day as Luigi.
Yeah.
Would be really good if they go back and dig a little bit more. Like when they had the Shy Guys, cuff him up and whatnot. I was looking for the ghosts. I wanted to see him look at the ghost and the ghost turn away. If they were going to do the little Easter egg things that they did, those were the kind of things. Having him in the one castle by himself kind of would have led to Luigi's Haunted Mansion. Maybe a spinoff. He goes back now that he's, Do you
think it would have been better if they had treated it like Sonic and just waited till the second one to introduce, like how they waited till the second one to introduce Tails and Knuckles?
No, because that would have been worse, I think.
Got it.
Luigi is still he's still important enough as a character. If they have Bowser, Toad, and Peach get as much screen time as they got, Luigi needed more screen time as well.
Yeah.
Luigi literally played the role of damsel in distress for almost the entire movie.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was scared at the beginning. He was scared all throughout. Captured.
I mean, they were really playing off of his persona from like Luigi's Mansion.
Right.
And that doesn't really bother me as much. It was just like the comeuppance of that whole character arc didn't feel earned, I guess. It's like he was locked up throughout the whole movie, and then like the last 10 minutes, he's like, "Oh, I have my courage now." It's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. I mean, it was the whole can of spinach moment he had right there at the end. I mean, I will say, like, okay, cool. Luigi came in clutch and saves the day. But you know, like I needed something more, even if it was just like a 2-second speech of like it was inside of me all along.
Yeah,
I needed
Just
something,
yeah,
An acknowledgement.
right? I needed something to like say,
or
hey,
like
even if
you're not like player 2 is important too, or something like that for all the like little brothers out there.
Even if it had just been like, my brother's always standing up for me, now it's my turn to stand up for him, and he like hits Bowser from the back of the head, like anything would have been better.
Or like it's like it's time for me to be player 1, you know, something like that.
Like which we kind of got that, but like I said, just didn't feel earned. He really sat throughout the movie doing basically nothing and like almost died.
Yeah,
and that was about it. What else?
Were there any other glaring negatives?
Anything glaring? Like just little nitpicks here and there. Nothing that I feel like worth it to like bring up. Because everything else was just fantastic. At least to me. Because I know Linda's gonna say something about it later, so I need to bring it up now. The voice acting speech was okay.
I was about to say, yeah, don't go too much into that. Leave that for me. All right, listen, that's my chum.
I know. You live for this. Yeah, she was okay to me. She was okay. Like everybody else was just, you know, bombastic. Even Seth Rogen, who usually just plays Seth Rogen, and
but honestly, I feel like Seth Rogen was perfect voice for Donkey. Like it was just like his laugh.
Yeah, he did the laugh. Yeah,
and to be completely honest, I mean, Jack Black doesn't really do voices. He's just Jack Black.
But it's like that actually fit as Bowser though.
It does, but like I've seen people like it's still. I think it still needs to be recognized because there are people online who will bash like, you know, 6 Ways to Sunday that what's his face doesn't actually do voices. He just sits there and just talks.
Well,
and he's just him. And I'm like, well, that's exactly what Jack Black does. He's just more animated.
In Jack Black's favor, like in this movie, he actually did put some effort into sounding like Bowser. Like that's the thing.
Everyone did, and that's a good thing.
I know it was just
almost everyone did.
Yeah, Seth Rogen like was more himself than he was Donkey Kong, but as we don't really have a voice for Donkey Kong, so it's
the personality that he brought to the character still worked really well. Same with Bowser and Jack Black.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. No, okay. There is another thing. The whole, well, it's kind of a negative and a positive too. Like the whole interaction between Donkey Kong and Mario. It felt a little like it was gonna go somewhere, but it was more like, yeah, we fucking hate each other, but
we're frenemies.
Kind of deal. Which is necessary. It's kind of true, but at the same time, it's just more like. I don't know. I feel like we didn't have enough time to actually like do that.
Well, okay, so
I don't know.
Even with the Donkey Kong part, and this was one of the things that like kind of stuck out of my head and just left me a little confused. So at one point earlier, we see them in the restaurant, and in the background, as like a little Easter egg, there's a Donkey Kong video game.
Right.
So then he goes through this magical portal that just exists under the city for some reason. He ends up in the Mushroom Kingdom, but it looks like he could have ended up anywhere. But I guess all pipes kind of lead back to the Mushroom Kingdom ultimately,
or
wherever world that is. Because there's different areas in the world. Because they have like the Darklands, they have the Kong region, they have the Mushroom Kingdom. Apparently, there were some other places that Bowser had already conquered. You know what I'm saying, like where the penguins are and that sort of thing. But going through that pipe would have put you somewhere on that world. So why does that pipe exist, and how did it get there? Why is it just under the Bronx? Okay,
well, that's kind of the original, like the origins for Mario. Anyway, like he was actually just a plumber from Brooklyn and just fucked around and found the pipe, and oops, I'm in the Mushroom Kingdom now.
See, now even when you go back to not even Super Mario Brothers, but when you go to the original Mario Brothers games where it's just turtles and you have the hammers and you have to like throw the hammers and stuff like that and jump around. Mario also being the main protagonist who had to save the the girl in Donkey Kong. You know what I'm saying? That's another one of those little like Easter egg kind of things. That's where like when you see the Donkey Kong game and then you see Donkey Kong, like it.
I don't know. I guess you could almost kind of see it as like maybe the person who made it had like somehow gotten over to that area as well, and then managed to go back to Brooklyn, and it was never the same, you know?
Yeah.
Like he never saw it, but like it was almost like a fever dream to him. So he made this game based on, you know, what happened to him there.
And I mean, it very well could have been because, like, you know, Peach says her earliest memory, of course, she's like, it's a human, and you know, like they're still different looking humans, but okay, whatever. It's cartoon human, so
yeah,
you know, not the same thing. But she recognizes him as a human, and she's obviously a human.
Yeah,
and of course, he's talking about Brooklyn and going back home, that sort of thing. They eventually end up going back home. And even when I was watching that sequence, I was like, okay, so if you go back through that pipe, so then the bomb is just going to end up in Brooklyn? Why would you do that? Like, you're just going to send the bomb to your house? Okay. I'm confused, but okay. And it was to get it out of there and save the kingdom, but now you're endangering.
Well, I mean, yes and no, because it's most likely would end up veering off course and just kind of exploding in somewhere in the abyss in between. Because there was a lot of like space that it had to travel through.
Well, I mean, that's how Luigi got separated earlier.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so I think there's like, I think he also saw it as I think he saw it as like the possibility of it actually going back to Brooklyn was very small.
Okay,
just based on his knowledge. Plus, I mean, he had to think of something. And
like also think about this is a Mario and Luigi that don't know how the warp pipes work just yet.
Right.
They haven't quite figured it out, but they know what Brooklyn is. So warp pipes are basically like, do you know where you want to go? And that's where you're gonna go. If you don't, then fucking whatever, you're gonna go somewhere, I guess. It was dumb luck that Luigi ended up in the Darklands. It was dumb luck that Mario ended up in the Mushroom Kingdom. It just sucked all around for them.
And Toad is the first person he found. Okay, so Linda
that also sucks all around.
Hey, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Honestly, that's not the first voice I'd want to hear if I wake up in a strange new land. I'm sorry. Not sorry, but I'm sorry.
We're not doing that.
So Linda, you
are we doing that?
You've got some. You've got some gripes and thoughts about the voice acting and other things. What are your thoughts?
So
David, were you completed?
What?
Did you get everything out, Dave?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was more so like I just had the positive. The positive was just like the movie was good. I had fun. It was great. Would watch it again.
We had little kids take pictures with us because we were dressed up.
Oh, that's right. Because you had on your whole Bowser get up and you had on your Peach outfit.
I threw together a Peach outfit last minute, thanks to my my Kirby dress I bought for my Kirby cosplay last year. It happened to work, so. And I happen to have a Peach crown lying around. Don't ask me why. It was either that or be Luigi, and I didn't feel like being Luigi, so.
Yeah.
Though I did almost wear Cappy. I did have a cap. I have a Cappy hat. But,
so, David, what would you give it on the scale of 1 to 10?
It's a solid 9 for me.
Solid 9. Okay.
Yeah.
The 7.5 got a 9. Linda, talk to me. Super Mario Brothers movie.
So, David and I pretty much agree on everything that he was stating there. You know, the last half felt kind of rushed. The first half was, it was well paced and it was kind of whimsical, which was nice. I do think the whole like little montage of Mario trying to go through the obstacle course was a little drawn out for my taste. I feel like they could have done more. I also would have loved to see Yoshi in some capacity, aside from like as a footnote.
I was missing Yoshi.
But I'm assuming they're pulling a Tails here and they're saving Yoshi for the second movie. But for me, it's the voice acting for Peach, and like voice acting, especially for female voice actors, has been a bit of a touchy subject recently, especially with the continued harassment of voice actresses, and it always seems to just be the women that get ragged on. But yeah, so voice actresses in like video games or video game related stuff. There's been a lot of those issues recently. I'm specifically referring to Ada Wong from Resident Evil 4 remake and people bullying her off of social media. And I don't think I've heard a lot of issues. Like people in general overall seem to like Peach's voice actress. I didn't really care for her. Like it was already kind of strange enough that she was the only one that wasn't like a big name actor that was chosen for a lead role.
Actually, she would fall into that category of like up and coming, and I think
but like they didn't waste that on any other character. They didn't like put an up and coming for Mario. They didn't put an up and coming for Luigi or literally any other character in there. They're all like very popular kind of memey characters. Anyway, so aside from that, so I couldn't quite put my finger on it at first, and I saw a video of someone that was just kind of like explaining their gripes with it, and the similar things. They had issues with the way Peach sounded. It just didn't seem right. It was off. Everyone else had some sort of like modicum of like homage to their. Oh, I messed that up. Please assume to me. I messed up my things here. Sorry, I'm playing Final Fantasy. But yeah, I had some sort of other homage to like the way their original voice actor sounds, because no one wants to listen to any of the like exact ways that any of these Mario characters sound for like fucking almost 2 hours, right?
Right.
And that includes Peach. The problem is they sucked, like she sucked the life, and I'm not really blaming her. Just as a pretense of this, I'm not blaming the voice actress herself. I'm sure she's very talented.
That is Anya Taylor-Joy.
I'm blaming the director. I'm blaming whoever told her to sound the way she sounded. That's who I'm blaming. No blame. I'm blaming the men. I'm not blaming the woman. It is not her fault. But she sounded just like a normal chick you pulled off the street. That's it. She didn't have any kind of specialty to her voice. There was nothing that was an homage to the original character, like the way the original character sounded. Nothing, right? And you can't even say, oh, well, Peach has like a really kind of like awful voice or awful sounding voice. I wouldn't want to listen to that. Well, you wouldn't want to listen to Mario either. But you could still tell it was Mario. It was done in a way that was tolerable, but still you could tell it was Mario. And we were all super worried about. Did I get hit by that too? I may have.
No, okay.
So what this person in this video pointed out is that they gave on the other issues I saw were people like saying they wrote her character too much as like the what do you call it, the anti-damsel. Yeah, anti-damsel in distress, girl boss kind of thing.
She girl boss too hard.
But to a cringy point, not to like a female empowerment point. So like I don't know who all wrote the script or whatever and all that, but it all very much seems like it was written by a man thinking of, when I think strong, empowered woman, this is what I think, and it's this. But kind of boring, the same thing you see all the time, but very tropey. If that makes sense.
Does it seem like it was like a script where somebody wrote something and then they went and then the executives were like, we got to make the woman character stronger because we don't want to hear any backlash about having,
I don't think it was even something that was changed. I think that's what they wrote her like that to begin with, because that's what's popular right now.
Right.
But it's not believable. And that's the problem. There's a believability to it that they could absolutely write into it if they put work into it, but a lot of them don't. And I do think that there is still a major imbalance between women behind the scenes and in more important roles when it comes to making movies, TV shows, that kind of stuff. But anyway, regardless of all of that, this person really pinpointed this for me, right? And it's essentially they gave her Daisy's personality. Because so she wasn't Peach. And that's why I think it was rubbing me the wrong way. She was Daisy. But she wasn't just Daisy. She was like a great value Daisy, because you kept expecting her to be like how Peach is, but she's not. She's just slightly, she's like she's doing like a poor cosplay of Daisy, but in Peach uniform still. And because like her voice is very unenthusiastic. It's very plain. It's like you just got some woman off the street and gave her some lines to read, and that was it.
I don't know. And well, continue.
But so
I'll let you finish.
Peach herself has a very stark difference in personality from Daisy. Whereas Daisy can tend to be a little more tomboyish, Peach is pretty much always been that like epitome of femininity, and she wasn't that in there. There wasn't even like a hint to it. She was just a rough and tumble tomboy who they happened to crown her princess, so she knows there's certain things she has to do, but like there was nothing like Peach has always been kind of like really proper and everything, and having the kind of more high-pitched voice, the more calm kind of like manners to things and everything. And yes, she can absolutely kick ass herself her own way. People keep forgetting that you can be effeminate and kick ass at the same time. You don't have to be a tomboy to be a strong, independent woman who can fight your own fight. And Peach has always been that. And that's what's been like one of the best things about her, is that she can kick ass in a dress. She doesn't need to like rely on guys for stuff. She doesn't, she does get captured, whatever, but she's a strong, independent woman. And at the same time,
come on.
I know, Dave.
I mean, but is that the message we're going to get from the Mario Brothers movie? I mean, this is like in a weird way, and I don't want to. Let me make sure that I'm asking the right question here. I feel like Anya Taylor-Joy is a big enough name to be the lead voice actress, because she's like.
Not compared to the other guys that are there.
I had to look.
Not compared to the other guys that were there.
I feel like she's
not. The other ones have a lot longer of a career behind them. Have done a lot more stuff. They have a lot more experience than her.
Okay, and I don't. Okay, so is Keegan-Michael Key bigger than her?
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
From Key and Peele, from that show.
Well, that's what helped with everything. Same with Charlie Day. Like he had,
It's Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he had something, but like,
I mean,
because of that, it's.
I knew exactly who she was. Like I just saw the menu. She was in The Witch. She was in The Queen's Gambit. Like every time I turn around, I keep hearing this girl. Like she's the it girl right now. And if there was an it girl, I feel like putting the it girl as the name.
She's not more it than Margot. She's not more it than Margot Robbie.
Yeah, and honestly, that's
But then also, we're complaining that it's Margot Robbie. Why does she have to do everything?
Well,
there's no winning in that particular.
But you just asked the question, and I just answered it.
No.
So listen,
I'm asking
Sam,
who is the proper casting?
We're getting into a deeper philosophy here, whereas women have a much shorter lifespan in Hollywood than men do.
Yeah,
because men can remain it men for their whole lives. Once they get that one breakthrough role, that's it. They just age like fine wine. They just get better and better and yada, yada. Whereas a lot of women, if they don't continue to keep up with their looks, making themselves look like they're the same age as whenever people first saw them on screen, it's harder and harder for them to catch roles.
Yeah, so once you turn like 35, they got you auditioning for like moms.
Yeah, and for them to stay as like it people. Yeah. So like I said, that's going into like a deeper thing.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, like I wanted to explain all of that, but at the end of the day, my biggest pet peeve with it is the fact that she wasn't Peach. And everyone else at least was similar to their original character, but she was generic, strong female tomboy. That's what she was. And that's what really ticked me off.
Okay.
And I just wanted to piggy because I have a friend who is a voice actor in LA. He's a commercial actor, but he's done like voice stuff. and he posts a lot about just like the trend of feeling like you have to hire big names in order to like get people to see an animated film. And I just think that this is one of those areas where like Mario doesn't need famous people voicing the characters to sell it. So if you and you can sign up Jack Black and he's doing a good job, cool. But I don't think Anya Taylor-Joy is a name where it's like, we got to have her. She's putting butts in the seats, not off of the Menu and
Mario
Queen's Gambit. And that's not saying she's a bad actress, but that's not saying anything about her qualities as an actress. But also at the same time, there is a stark difference between acting where people can see your face and acting where people can only hear you. And are you able to emote in the same way when people can't see you as you can when people can see you? And I think just on the comment of like the it girl, I definitely agree with what Linda was saying. It's like, you read all these articles about people like, it's like, okay, you want to talk about it girls. If we're casting people kind of in that same famous range, we don't have to see the women. So why does it have to be a younger person? Why can't it be a Halle Berry? Why can't it be a Sandra Bullock? Why can't it be like one of these Hollywood it women who we hold up? Why can't it be that if all we're hearing is their voice?
How come the only character that they or the only person they cast as their character that they had to get someone who looked like the character was Peach? Like, why do they have to cast a very
I don't have a dog in the fight for this, so
I do though, because I think it's just one of those things where it's like it's whack that you have to.
They could have cast a plus size person who always gets overlooked for screen time because they're bigger. Okay, well, they sure as hell could have had a decent enough voice to play Peach.
That seems like an executive choice and not a creative choice to cast Anya Taylor-Joy in that role in that moment, in my personal opinion. That seems like a big dog coming in, like, we got her, we need to use her because like this, she probably has like a deal with like a studio and they're like, all right, we're trying to like push her. So now we got to get like other stuff on her resume to expand her out of this like super serious, dark element. She's trying to cross over. They're going to use Mario to do that.
At the end of the day too, with everything like all said, Peach would have been horrible no matter who they put in that role because of how they wanted her to be. It would have been bad either way, or for whoever they cast in there. They could have cast your favorite female actress ever. But if she's coming in there talking like Princess Peach going, guys, we have to save the Mushroom Kingdom. They are my people, and I love them so much. I've been here for a long time, and I've learned all of these things. Look at me go through this obstacle course. Like, yeah, it would have been garbage no matter who you put in the role. So it's nothing necessarily against the actress herself. I was merely pointing out the I guess the star difference, because it was my first kind of red flag that there might have been something fishy going on with her. Now I also went into the movie like I had seen only one trailer. I don't like to watch trailers or play demos for games, things like that. I don't really like to watch those, like, because to me, it's kind of a little bit of a spoiler for the movie. I like to go in almost completely fresh. The most I like to know is maybe information. So like who's playing who, things like that. But yes, I went in here not knowing how Peach was going to sound. I didn't even know how Mario was going to end up sounding because all I originally saw was that first trailer where he sounded horrible.
Right. I mean, he only had like
Kingdom.
Right, there was only like one or two lines given out the entire time, and I don't know her. I definitely saw the push to make her damn near the hero herself, which
they Force Awakened. It sounds like,
yeah. I mean, they definitely like. It almost seemed like we could have done the exact same movie without Mario and let Peach have done everything that Mario did. And it would have been the same movie. And if I had any complaint as far as the whole Peach Bowser Mario bit, it would just be that, like, Mario's supposed to be going to save Princess Peach, and of course they're like, well, we're gonna flip that on his head. Now he's there to save his brother.
Which, I mean,
okay, cool. No, and that was one of those, like, okay, cool. Now he has better motivation, and she's not the damsel in distress. But it was also interesting that for all of the showboating they did for her, for all of the hyping her up to show how strong and powerful she was, there was no instance of her actually doing any of that. Because, like, we saw that she can get through the obstacle course, but she didn't fight Donkey Kong. We saw that she can handle this bike and save these people. She rode off when they got ambushed. She gets back to the Mushroom Kingdom. He shows up, and then, I mean, Bowser shows up, and then what? Nothing. They talk, and she quietly agrees to go with him in order to save her people. So all of this stuff that they were like hyping her up to do and showing off and whatnot, ultimately, she didn't do anything. She made a diplomatic decision to agree to this wedding in the effort to save her people, to try to do it with as little, loss of life and whatnot. And then like Toad comes in with the little ice thing, and she like starts kicking a little bit of ass right there. But by that time, the cavalry arrived, so it was still a group effort. So I
will also say that I didn't appreciate, as much as some people probably did, I didn't appreciate the random fan service from Peach in there. Like, no one else changed into their like a skin tight Mario Kart suit to ride their stuff, and then no one had a camera shot that she specifically had and no one else had, that showed her kind of from like below and behind to really get that shot of the skin tight suit and all. Yeah, no, listen, come on, guys. This is a kid's movie. I don't need fan service like that in my kid's movie.
I do know the shot you're talking about, and I thought that was a little weird.
That was a little
now that
weird.
I will agree with. That was a little, but I will say also, like, when I think about like the Mario Kart, and everybody gets to, like, when they go through the kart customizer and everybody gets to decide and make their own kart. Like, I can't think of a time Mario's ever been in anything other than his same outfit. So in fairness to Mario doesn't change clothes. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Super Mario Tennis, he had on shorts, but other than that, I don't think I've ever seen Mario not be in the overalls.
They could have put Peach in like in a different cart. Or just not do that angle.
No, I definitely agreed. Like the angle bit when she got back to the kingdom and she like kicked the staff and grabbed it and she was walking outside, that was a weird shot. What was the point of that?
Like, I would have loved to see her when she got back, because they kept her in the outfit as long as they could too. I would have loved to see her when she got back to the castle finally. I know it's busy. There's a lot of stuff going on, but just quickly change back into your dress or whatever, like, and then do some really cool fighting and moves and shit in that. Let's get a little bit, like, we only got one instance where she does the float,
right?
Like, in the dress. So she fights in that dress. She didn't need to be in the skin tight motorcycle suit to do her fighting.
I mean, the gripes you have about her were the gripes I had about Luigi. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know all that fan service for Luigi. They're constantly zooming in on his butt.
They just
putting him in all kinds of like lewd outfits.
They did Luigi dirty the whole movie. Like, he did nothing. He contributed nothing except a sewer grate at the end. But he still got the star power.
I think they're saving him as well for more of a role in either a spinoff or a second movie. Same with Yoshi.
Well,
it's still annoying, but yeah.
The little bit of post credit there. I mean, obviously Hollywood just can't write women at all in any shape, fashion, or form.
Not just Hollywood. Too many men think they can write women and they can't. But honestly, it's not even just women too. It's whenever people try and write characters that are different from them completely. And in the writer's room, there's not a single person that can represent that character in there. And I know it can be a little difficult when you have like someplace with like a ton of different very diverse actors or like roles that are being written. But like, honestly, how difficult is it just to get a woman, get a couple women, get like a little panel, something, and actually listen to them? I think a lot of it is a lot of these people that just like to stroke their own dicks, and they only want other people who are going to stroke their dicks. And if they're not, they don't listen to them.
I mean, there's a very good chance that one or two of the women that do end up in those rooms probably guilty of that same stroking because it's a job for them, and if they feel like they speak up, they're not going to have said job.
Exactly. That's what I mean. They only want to surround themselves with people who are going to be sycophants. And these, if whenever they do get people that do fit the demographic they're writing, there's a possibility that they're like, well, I don't want to lose my job. Let me just, appeal to them and say, yeah, sure, that's not offensive at all.
Or like they say it, and then the person who has the final say is just like, "Oh, you're just over."
Yeah, they override them. Oh, they're just being a dramatic
woman. Thank
you
for your input.
They're just being a dramatic woman. You know how women are so emotional. Just because men forget that anger is an emotion, and that's what a lot of them have all the time. As the only woman here, David, am I supposed to do the opposite? Right? Like I have the blue smiley face, and I need to go in like the red frowny face. Yes, okay, that's right.
So on a 1 to 10, where would you rate the movie?
I don't know. God, probably closer to a 6 or a 7. It's fun, but like I wouldn't go out of my way to like watch it all the time. I may rewatch it again sometime later in the future. It's on at like a party or something, or we put it on in the background, when I have like a niece or nephew over or something like that. But it's not something I'm going to be like, 6 months from now, hey Dave, you want to rewatch that or whatever?
I mean, I don't even think the movie had enough substance to warrant that anyway. Like, because even like the Sonic movies, what I'm saying? I enjoyed those, but like, okay, that story's been told. Cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I guess to be fair, as far as like rewatchability, I don't really rewatch movies like that. Sometimes I'll get like an itch and I'll go back and rewatch something I haven't seen in like years. But the only thing I tend to like rewatch are like TV shows.
Right.
And that's more of like just like a background noise thing and a comfort thing.
No, I would say for me, like rewatching a movie is typically going to be, I was flipping and oh wow, or something came up, and it is so crazy sometimes for me to like catch myself watching something that I've seen before randomly after however long. And it's just like, we were talking about it. It made me think about it. I found it. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? Let me watch this. A lot of times it's just like, I have on my smart TV, when I first turned it on, they have like this list of movies and stuff, or, a conversation will come up at some point. We would be sitting here talking about something, and my algorithms get all thrown off because I have to like look up this movie and find out where all is playing. And so I click on it. And then of course it's like, oh, you looked for this, you looked for that, you looked for that. So then it starts recommending stuff to me. Every once in a while it recommends something that I like. And I just find myself going back to rewatch something just because it was there. It was in my face telling me to watch it. Not that I was just like dead set on like, oh, let me turn this on and check this movie out.
I guess,
Jeff, oh, go ahead.
I guess back whenever like before like streaming and all that, and you were watching just more like cable TV or whatever, right. I tend to rewatch more movies then, just because it's something that's on and I need to watch something right now. But yeah, I guess, yeah, overall, I mean, that's my biggest gripe. And like I said, absolutely nothing against the actress herself, get your money. But I do fully believe that Princess Peach would have sucked just as badly with even the best actress you could even think of to put on there, because of the way that they directed and wrote her character.
Gotcha. All right. Well, duly noted, and fingers crossed that at some point they do better. Maybe in the sequel they're
going to keep the same thing. They don't care about me.
But I mean, if enough people get behind that, and obviously you're not the only person, because somebody else kind of, you were saying a review you read, somebody else was already kind of like on point and recognized that. So
yeah, but the problem is a lot of like people who have takes like what I do aren't taken seriously. Like I'm usually dismissed because I'm just a bitchy woman, and that's that's what women do. They bitch about other women, blah blah blah. And if it's a guy, then they just claim that they're sexist. And oh, of course, she didn't like Peach because she didn't blah blah blah, or she didn't. They don't actually take the criticism to heart at all. And honestly, as a woman, I'm used to being dismissed because I'm a woman.
I mean, I would certainly like this would be one of those things I would certainly try to go in, and I'm always looking for understanding. Anything that if you have a take that doesn't resonate with me, if it doesn't make sense to me, I'm all about like trying to understand. I need to see like what am I missing? Not necessarily what's wrong with my brain, but
yeah, it's
like,
just trying to get a different point of view.
Right. Why do I not see the point you're making?
And like I can. I tend to be like slightly overcritical, or at least people would think that I'm overcritical of female roles, especially as well as minority roles. But considering I am a female and a minority, you know, I want better for us. You know, I don't want parts or roles that are just like, you know, written as just like oh, we think this is what you like, but we're not actually going to put any effort into the character. Definitely not nearly as much effort as we put into, you know, the male characters or the white characters. Like I don't. That's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of like if you have something that's like an established what do you call it? An established thing or whatever. I can't think of the word off the top of my head. There you go, IP. And you go through and start changing up things like, okay, this person's going to be this race, this person's going to be this gender. We're changing all these things around, blah, blah, blah. I don't want that. Like for me, myself, I don't want like you to change a character that is established as a different race to being Mexican just so you can have that quota in there. That just feels so disrespectful. Like,
I get that.
Give me a new character. Why can't I have my own character? I've
constantly made the reference to like sometimes when they race swap or gender swap characters, it does feel more like pandering and less about representation or true diversity. Yeah. Right. Like, we were talking about something the other day and I was like, well, you know, they had this, they had this, they had that. So, you know, they were able to check off all those boxes because it had nothing to do with the you know what? Because we go get the Power Rangers in a second. And there was absolutely no need. It was just like, I get it, but what? I was okay. And that's one of those moments where it's like, I feel conflicted because it's like, I don't want to take anyone's representation away. But when you do it in a way that's just so blatantly done to be able to say like, see, and now we can get the LG, you know, like now we can get the alphabet crowd too, because they'll be on board. See, we and it's like
I've already completely given up hope of ever seeing like any kind of decent and respectful representation of like me on screen. So I guess it's a little hard for me to empathize with people who are like, oh, I never saw someone like me on screen growing up as kid. Neither did I.
Right.
I've always been a fat Hispanic girl. When's the last time you saw a fat Hispanic girl be the lead role of something that's not like some like stupid, like goofy sidekick?
Right. I mean, I definitely understand, and of course that's where, you know, some people really have a hard time with understanding representation as a whole. So I absolutely get, and I'm not even one to be like, you know, we'll take it wherever we can get it. No, it still needs to be good, and I dislike pandering. So I understand exactly where you're coming from with that.
I will say, despite what I just said there, I do understand, you know, that it does help some people. Just because I'm never going to see it doesn't mean that someone else shouldn't be able to see that. But I will say that for those who are upset because we're not changing enough, IPs are just re-releasing and regurgitating with more forced diversity, that it's okay. It's okay. If anything, don't push for, hey, you re-release this, why didn't you make the characters more diverse? Say, hey, instead of re-releasing this thing, why don't you make a new thing that already has diversity in it, that's already based around those things, and put as much effort into it as you would something that was originally designed as less diverse. you know, or better yet, someone pitches you something that stars in an all like white skinny cast, you know, and tell them, listen, for us to do this, we're going to change up all the characters. We're not going to cast your you know, generic space marine as a generic white space marine. We're going to cast them as something different. And it's going to be
then you end up with Velma, and we still have shit to complain about.
Velma got screwed up because of Mindy, but we're not going to talk about that right now.
Right, but that's how you take a group of skinny white people and still find a way to fuck it up.
Well, that's the thing, though. Velma was another classic representation of let's take this thing and let's pander to the minorities instead of let's take something and let's make something, not take something. Let's make something new. Let's make something that's going to be just as big.
Yeah.
Let's take something that already like that's been written but hasn't been produced or made and turn it into something that is more diverse.
Nah, it's easy to take something that has an established audience and run with that as opposed to trying to come up with something new. Like I can part of me understands the difficulty that must exist with that. You know, like we have ideas all the time, and yet it's just finding a way to take what's out there and done wrong and improve upon that. Coming up with something completely original that's not overly influenced by something that exists to a point where it's like you run the risk of infringement or copyright issues or, you know what I'm saying, something along those lines can actually be pretty difficult. Now, there's plenty of people out there who tell stories, and if you change enough, you can do it in a way that, you know, like I think about the joke I've seen 100 times. It's like Harry Potter is Star Wars with bad lightsabers. You know what I'm saying? And you hear the guy give the little breakdown, and it's like, wow, that actually fits really well. But it's also because it's a generic hero's journey. It's every shonen. You know what I'm saying? It's like certain things are just going to fall into certain categories and work that way because that's how they work.
Yeah, you just put a new scan on it.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
literally sometimes.
and in some cases that's okay. Other cases it feels weird and it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. Well, but it's like the whole thing with we don't really have a Latino or Latina, I guess you want to say. I don't really like those phrases like Hispanic better, but Disney princess, right? And so, you know, they're doing the live action Snow White, and I think if I recall correctly, they chose a Hispanic actress to be Snow White. It's a little weird, and it doesn't make a lot of sense because it's set in Germany. It's a German thing, and like I'm absolutely all for more Hispanic representation. I don't think we have enough in media. Period. We're the minority of minorities, despite the fact that, you know, we're a pretty big population. And, you know, it sucks. But at the same time, it's Snow White. Like half of the it's in the title that she's got skin as white as snow. And like, unless you're going to cast her as a Spaniard girl, that whenever it's specifically a Hispanic girl, that's a little different. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, okay.
Then again, the live action Disney movies have been pretty garbage since like Jungle Book, maybe. So,
but like it's you know what?
I think on the diversity front, it's kind of one of those things where it's like there's two minds about it, right? I think that I definitely agree that you don't have to take everything when you remake everything or do stuff and just be like, I'm completely changing this character, right? I think, you know, with comics, we've had this kind of discussion with like the difference between the character and the mantle, and mantles can be passed between different races because they're two different people. So like Captain America Sam Wilson is not Captain America Steve Rogers, even though they're both Captain America. People had
And see,
a hard time wrapping their brain around that sometimes. But I think that that's also very different than like looking at a character who is like white and clearly like their whiteness does play a role in how that character moves and operates. Like you're not making a black Great Gatsby, you know what I mean? Because you got to look at the time period. You got to look at what actually happens in the story.
Don't give people ideas. I'm sure they try and rework it to make
I will say I'm all for black remakes of stuff now. The Wiz, I love. Polly, I love. I honestly wish like more musicals did get remade with like all black cast, all Latino cast, all Asian cast.
And that's where you and I differ. I don't want them to take a white only cast of something or mostly white cast of something and change it into all Latino cast or all Hispanic cast. I don't want that. I'd rather us have our own musical.
I'll take the black one because the music's gonna be different too. Like and I think that's my point too with like the Wiz. The Wiz is the Black Wizard of Oz, but they're not singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. They're not singing Follow the
singing Brand New Day.
You know what I mean?
Regardless, I still wouldn't want it, even if they changed the move or the music to be more Hispanic or whatever. I still don't want it because I'm like, I don't want the scraps of the white man. I'm sorry.
I feel you. I'm just talking about what I would like and what I do like. And I think that but I do get that too, because the other part of it is sometimes when they do change stuff, they just change the skin. But it's like black people can't move like that sometimes. And so it's like you gotta actually, I think it goes back to like the ethos of like write what you know. And like you said with Peach, it definitely, I mean, I guess I haven't seen the movie, but I'm gonna take from your word that it felt like a woman who was written by a man. And I think that the more that I have been trying to be aware of those things by like trying to listen to women and what they say about certain characters and how they're portrayed, I definitely have started being able to see and understand like, okay, like, yeah, that sounds crazy. A dude definitely wrote that. A man definitely wrote that based off of his own perspective about women. And I think if a woman wrote this, it would be a completely like different perspective, even if it's the same quote unquote story. But it just comes down to like people needing to also learn how to support things where it's like how you were saying, people are like, oh, I never saw myself on screen. And it's like, yeah, okay, so what? For like the first 100 years or first 50 years of movies being made in America, like nobody saw themselves on screen except for like white people. And yet other people are able to go and watch stories, enjoy them, take from it what they will without having to like see a direct avatar of themselves on the screen. And I'm just be frank about it. White people have a hard time doing that because they have lived in the country so long where everything about culture is catered to them and their experience and their perspective. Anything that's not from that perspective is seen as other. And so unless it's like a historical movie, a slave movie or something where they can go to a history book and see it, they don't understand them. They don't understand a movie like Juice. Just like Four Boys. Juice is basically a black Lean on Me to a degree, right? If you want to talk about it, it's like four friends, they go on a crazy adventure. The setting is different. The stakes are a little bit crazier.
Stand By Me.
Oh, Stand By Me, not Lean on Me. Yeah, my bad. Stand By Me. But
I had to think about it. I was like, yeah, Lean on Me. Wait, no, that's not
yeah, Stand By Me. But coming of age stories, you know what I mean? Like, and that's a universal story. You should be able to look at four black boys in America and see that story and not feel like I don't get it. It's not.
Not feel like it's some like big like crazy.
It's not from a foreign land
kind of thing. Yeah, and like that is something that I feel like that is definitely a huge problem in America, and that ends up becoming a huge problem worldwide because of how American media is very prominent in like worldwide media,
and it doesn't matter how successful stuff is because they were like, oh, we don't know how Black Panther is going to do worldwide, and then Black Panther like blows it out of the water in America and worldwide, and then it's still like, we don't know how black superheroes are gonna play. And it's like, all right, bro, like, you guys say you're all about analytics, you say you're all about evidence, you say you're all about, you have to show us, and then when people do it, it's still not good enough. And so just say, we just want to make white stuff, and that's cool. And that's why I'm kind of on the board of, I'm on the stance of like, if y'all don't want to make it, fine, somebody will make it, and y'all will just miss out on that money, and you're gonna be kicking yourselves.
It causes more and more separation as well, and that's, I mean, honestly, as the older generations continue to get older and die out, we'll see more and more diversity actually actively written into it from the beginning, which would be very nice. But until then, we got to deal with this garbage. But no, like in general, yeah, it ends up coming from being half white and half Mexican. I do have my foot kind of in both of those. It was definitely something where if it's not your race, if they look too different from you, it's a completely different world. And there's a lot of lack of empathy that's there. They're like people in different races to a lot of white people, obviously, hashtag not all white people, but a lot of white people are different. They're not people. They're not people like them. And that even goes to the, like that even applies to people who tend to white knight.
Yes.
Who like, because that, especially that, that's such a, like, listen, if you're going to be racist, just be racist. Don't try and be nice about it and pretend like you're saving me. Okay. Like that's because they're not seeing you as people. It's dehumanizing.
Yeah.
They think they're doing it for the right reasons, but it's dehumanizing either way.
Right. It's like you try to, and it's like even in like spaces like this or not this, but like when you're talking about geek culture, movies, things, music, stuff like that. And it's just like I remember I had a conversation in college, and it was these girls, and then like these white girls on my freshman floor, and they're like, "Oh, we love rom-coms." I'm like, "Oh yeah, me too." And so we talking about When Harry Met Sally, we talking about Forget Paris, we talking about Groundhog Day, and then I'm like, "Yeah, my favorite is Boomerang," and they're like, "What's that?" And then I'm like naming like all these black rom-coms, and then I'm like, "So you guys don't like rom-coms? You guys like white rom-coms?" And they're like, "Well, what do you mean?" I was like, "Well, these are all movies that are romantic comedies, but Hollywood markets them as black movies. When you go to Netflix and you watch one, you get any and every black. It doesn't just give you black rom-coms. It's just like any and every black. It's like you can watch Breaking All the Rules, and then it'll be like Juice.
You might like Held Up.
Related.
You might like Held Up.
As someone who was raised in what would be stereotypically called like a white household, because my mom's the one who's white, and my dad has, like, my brothers and I weren't really raised with any kind of like Mexican culture, unfortunately. And I've been catching up on a lot of it like in my adult years. But that being said, I'm 34 now. So I'm pretty well caught up with a lot of stuff. But yeah, like, obviously I'm in an interracial relationship and with a completely different culture on top of it, because David's not just black, he's Jamaican American. So it's a whole other thing on top of it.
Rude boy.
Bad man.
So like one of the things that I've asked David, and he can back me up on this throughout the relationship, is just to share with me parts of his culture, parts of like, you know, what it was for him growing up, things that like movies that mean a lot to him, or like, books or TV shows, whatever, food, like all of it. So like there's a lot of stuff that like, I'll tell David like, no, I never saw that. And he's like, you never saw, he'd be so surprised. But then, on the same end, I'd say, you've never seen this, because I used to watch, like I'm a big musical person. My mom also really loves older media. So like, I grew up watching stuff like the original, or not even the original Annie, but the one from like the 80s, I want to say.
Yeah.
Gotten in the like an 89 or something, almost as old as me. And I grew up watching like Carol Burnett, who was also in Annie, but just like old shows, MASH, and what do you call it? I Love Lucy, but she didn't really care for I Love Lucy by the time I was old enough to watch stuff like that with her. But anyway, so yeah, it's a whole thing of like David's never seen any of those, and I've shared a few things with him, but at the same time too, I don't expect him to sit down and watch a lot of these things because they can be a little well outside of his realm of things that he's comfortable with or would give a shit about. But
and
yeah,
I'm
like
cool with that too. And it's like I feel like it's one of them things where it's like my issue is when people are like, "Oh, I'm an expert in this," and it's like, well, you're an expert in a subcategory of this. Yeah. And that was kind of the conversation I was having with those girls because they were just like, yeah, I know all of this. And it's just like, yeah, but you don't know this, and this. It's like, I know all the stuff you know, and I know this.
So like make sure when you're making those statements that you do know stuff outside of your realm as well, because otherwise it's like the pot calling the kettle black kind of type of deal, where like you grew up watching only your culture media type of stuff and they grew up only watching their culture media type stuff. You can't really blame them either way because now the blame can eventually come into play whenever they're given this opportunity to watch these, or someone has brought it up and like they've made this realization and they still are like, you know what, I'm going to continue with the bigotry my parents taught me. That's where it ends up. Right. That's where you have the crossroads.
No, you're absolutely right there. And I think with some of the access we have to content today, it is like fewer and fewer excuses available. Oh, yeah. Because just like Jeff said, and rom-coms is a great example. If you only know this section of rom-coms and you don't know that section of rom-coms, then you can't really say like, oh, I love rom-coms. I watch not Lifetime. I watch Hallmark Channel all the time. Like
I don't know.
If that's the extent of your access, well, here's a whole list of movies.
I think they could still say that, but whenever someone points out, oh, well, you haven't seen this, or this, or they're like, oh, well, you've only seen rom-coms in this category, or like, whatever. And they say, and they because like, if it's someone who really likes that category, they're going to be excited no matter what. They're like, oh my God, there's new stuff for me to watch.
15 new movies that I've never heard of.
But like I said, if they're like, I want to keep being a racist piece of shit like my parents taught me to be, I want to pretend like I'm from
none of these
North
girls
Georgia.
Are excited.
Like that's that's like, that's where it ends up getting like really bad. But I mean, honestly, same goes for literally everyone. Like, I think that everyone needs to be just more open to things that are not familiar to them, that are not things that they grew up with. Broaden your horizons. There's fantastic stuff made by everyone out there. So and by not watching these things, there's a possibility you're missing out. So very much I know. So. Dave, what was the most recent thing you had me watch? Was it Diary of a Mad Black Woman, right?
Did I think I gave you we watched clips of it, not the
no we watched the whole thing. We sat down and watched the whole thing.
We watched the movie, not the play.
Not the play. I know you prefer the Medea plays over the movies, but remember we couldn't find the play at the time because we were just watching it on our TV in our bedroom. But like David's also like we've sat down and watched a few different things that like I either like I may have watched, but it was kind of in passing for stuff when I was just by myself, because like growing up I always liked watching like different things my parents wouldn't let me watch because I'm like, this looks like fun. Did I do that right? I don't know. Anyway, I'm still playing Final Fantasy. But yeah, so like David, what was the one with the really long title?
You got
something about like not doing something. The menace one. That's it.
Oh, don't be a menace in South Central while drinking your juice.
That was like one of the first movies we watched together that like I had seen once when I was young. And I only got to see like parts of it because it was just playing on TV and I had to like sneak watching it, with my parents.
And that's one of those hard ones too, because it's like if you haven't seen like Juice, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, like it's funny, but it's funnier if you have
that context,
all the context and stuff. Because it's like Damon Wayans coming in saying message, it doesn't mean anything if you don't know even like some of the conversations that happened
place in
around
those
those
scenes.
movies, like when they came out.
Yeah.
So no, I feel you on that. I think it's just like people should be more open. I think it's like if you watch it and you don't like it, cool. Because there's rom-com. I like rom-coms, but there's definitely rom-coms I watch from like I'm not a big Sleepless in Seattle guy. I'm actually not a big Tom Hanks rom-com.
Honestly,
guy,
I'm not a
period.
rom-com person myself, period. I've got a couple that I liked growing up, but now I'm old and bitter and I hate all of them. I hate all of them equally. I don't care who made them. I hate them. It's a rom-com, go away.
And I think like Boomerang was always my example because it's like Eddie Murphy was like one of the biggest stars in the world, and in terms of like crossover as well in America. So it's like, and you know, and having certain conversations, I think with not older, but like kind of that next generation up, like aunts, uncles of my age. It's like you look at the box office, like that movie was like supported in theaters by more than just Black people. But it's not one of those movies that like, it's one of those movies where I think a lot of like maybe our parents and aunts and uncles would have on TV once it came out on like TV and be playing on like a BET or whenever, and in other households it wasn't. So if you were like a little kid when Boomerang came out and you didn't see it in theaters, like culturally, like you weren't necessarily in spaces where you were going to be able to like pick up on that either.
Yeah,
but it's like everybody's seen Beverly Hills Cop.
I haven't, but I don't really like those kinds of movies. But I will say, like, I've whenever you kept saying Boomerang, all I could think of was that like that Cartoon Network spinoff channel, because I have no idea what that is. But you can blame David for that. You can blame David
Robin
for that.
Givens, Halle Berry.
It's David's responsibility to help introduce me to more Black media. So David, that's on you.
It's not
okay. Well,
it's okay. Look, we'll go watch the Selena movie right after. Okay.
I am requesting officially. You know what? I will find something else because you stated you don't like rom-coms.
I don't really care. Rom-coms.
Do you like comedies?
I like comedies. I will say I don't like rom-coms. I don't like action movies. Action movies are boring, and rom-coms are unrealistic. And like I said, I'm a bitter person.
So I'm just going to put Boomerang in as a comedy. I think the comedy aspect alone stands up. I
think you'll hate Eddie Murphy. I don't know if that's the right movie for Linda to watch. I'm gonna be real. Like, my wife actually like does not really like that movie because of how it ends, and I understand why. It's definitely like a man wrote this ending, and
well, like I can kind of understand. Like, I give a little bit of leeway for like older media when it comes to being like with like just like microaggressions for racism or sexism or homophobia, like mostly because it's depending on what it is, obviously. But it was a different time kind of situation. And yes, if that kind of thing was like came out like right now, I absolutely would be like, you bitches know better. So stop it. But
I will say Halle Berry slaps the shit out of Eddie Murphy. So even if you want to see that,
Love should have brought your ass home last night. Like, I've watched that movie so many times. So yes,
Kirby,
I
will tell you though that it wasn't hard for David to get me to watch The Diary of a Mad Black Woman because of a certain actor that's in there. But
yeah,
despite how bad his wig was, it's fine.
So where are we going?
That's how I knew. That's how I knew he was good looking, because I was like, if you can wear a wig that bad and women still want you.
You know what? We were talking the other day, and when we were talking about him, I was trying to think for the life of me. I could not remember. Boris Kojo. I used to always get them two confused.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it was like the only way I started being able to tell who was who is Boris Kojo got married, and so it was very easy.
With his wife.
It was because I knew who she was. So it was easy then to remember who was who. I don't know why
they're fighting those guys. Let's go.
Because it was like, oh, yeah. If you is Boris Kojo and you're not married to Nicole Laurie Parker, okay, so yeah, that's the other guy there. I
knew who Shamar Moore was because I used to watch Soul Train a lot in the 90s, and
I just watched Criminal
pelvic
Minds,
thrusting every Saturday morning.
See, I don't care. I don't care how bad of a dancer he is, because you know what? David doesn't dance, and it's fine. So,
but David's not hosting Soul Train.
It's okay.
No,
it's okay.
He's not the host. He could be the host.
Like, David and Shamar Moore can get away with stuff like that. It's fine.
So there's a whole like little thing that I. So in an interesting note, as I was curious and I got to looking, and I see that on this upcoming Disney Snow White live action, I found the actress. I sent that little link in our chat just so you can see, and something just like jumps out at me, and I have kind of a problem with that, but kind of not a problem with that, because it's one of those things where it's like I think I see what they're going for, and technically, there we go. Boris Kojo was. I mean,
listen, you know what? Then you can have this Boris person, okay? I'll take Shamar Moore, and he can call me baby girl every morning. I mean, that's fine. I'll take that life.
Now
as long as David is there too, obviously. David, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
There's room in the bed. It's a king size bed, David. There's room for Shamar Moore.
So the new actress is you go. Nope. So the new actress is going to be Rachel Ziegler, most recently seen in Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and West Side Story.
That's what I know her from. She played Maria. Yeah. Man, that was sorry. I'm not even going. It was a good movie, but that character, I'm sorry, I can't believe what she did. I was on that plane watching that movie, mortified.
Hey, it was honestly still a better remake than Annie, and I was so disappointed in Annie. That had so much good potential, and it was so bad.
See, that was one of those ones where they should have just did a black version with all new black music and stop trying to
they
cater to the original audience.
That's the thing, though. That was the biggest problem. They couldn't. They were so schizophrenic with it. They weren't sure if they wanted to make it do its own thing or have it be like more of a more modern take on the original. And so they kept going back and forth. And because of that, none of it really got the love or attention it needed. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Crap. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, none of it really got the love or attention that it needed. And so it ended up just becoming very lackluster, which is a shame because the actress that plays Annie is extremely talented.
Yeah.
This is the Jamie Foxx one?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't really have an opinion on Jamie Foxx, but honestly, I didn't really get super far in the movie. So I will kind of give a little note there. I did not finish the Annie movie. I could not, and there are very few movies that I just can't finish. That was one of them. I think I have less than 5 movies in my life that I'm like, nope, this is so bad I can't finish it. That was one of them. But Annie is also something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. It was one of my first musicals. So for them to mess that up so badly was just so sad.
Well, I think one of the interesting points in this upcoming Disney Snow White movie, Gal Gadot is going to be the queen, and Rachel Ziegler.
Which I mean, Gal Gadot looked fantastic as the queen. Oh my god, that's going to be absolutely gorgeous. But I don't know.
I mean, I think
honestly, I like I said, I haven't really cared. The Disney live action remakes have all been kind of awful for a little while now.
Right. Well, the picture I sent, I wanted to. Something stuck out in my mind, and I was just wondering if there's anything to that. Am I just seeing what I want to see or whatnot? But given that she's playing the character of Snow White. Even when I go through her photo gallery, and this is just the photos that they have available on just IMDb, when you look at her photo, and this is gonna come out just the way it's gonna come out. I think the most color I've seen on her is in Shazam. And it just seems that it could be a lighting thing even then.
What, as far as like having her be a lighter color?
Right. Like what I mean, like, okay, so if you take her look from West Side Story, she does have like that dark hair, those ruby red lips, and that very, very fair complexion.
It's fair for a Hispanic woman.
Which gives but the stark contrast between the dark features, the dark eyebrows, the dark hair, and those bright red lips, it comes across as very
honestly,
Snow Whitish.
But I mean, the thing is though, like she's still it's not Snow White. Like, it still doesn't work. I can get the same way. Like, I haven't seen the sun in years, and I am a similar skin tone to her. Trust me, I look very, very white in certain lighting and and all of that. But like, and same thing. I've got the the darker colored lips, the all of the whole things. That being said, I'm obviously not trying to cast myself or anything, but at the same time, though, that's not like it can be done otherwise. And it doesn't make any sense because it's Snow White.
Yeah.
And it's just,
plus they already did a live action on Once Upon a Time, and let's just live with that.
It's like whenever they cast Emma Watson as Belle and made her dirty blonde.
Oh my God.
Instead of a brunette. Was so terrible. Like, that was such like, okay, Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorite Disney movies, right? Because Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid. Okay. And like with what Emma Watson did in there, like, I was just like, oh my God, what is this? Like, I was so looking forward. Want to talk about representation? I was so looking forward to seeing the smart, beautiful brunette woman, be a boss. And we didn't get that. You got Emma Watson with slightly dirty hair being Emma Watson. And they nerfed so much of Belle's personality in that stupid movie. I hated it. So that's why I don't really have a lot of confidence in Little Mermaid. I'm probably not even going to watch it. But just, it's been like the Disney live action movies have been so horrible. I'm done. I'm done with them.
I would honestly, I feel like a lot of the, dare I say, live action like remakes, if you will, because I think about that Cinderella 2020.
They do with Cinderella too, didn't they?
It was like 2022.
Yeah,
that one was not too long ago. And that singer from Fifth Harmony.
That wasn't Disney though. That wasn't Disney.
True.
They did They did do a Disney one though. It was a long time ago. The Cinderella Disney one was like the first one.
Well, the Cinderella one that I remember from Disney was Brandy.
No. That's a different one.
That's the ABC one.
That's Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, which is based on
that's a
Broadway
different Cinderella.
Play. They did do a Cinderella live action of basically the movie version as well, but this was back in like 2013 or something like that.
That was one of their first live actions that they did. That was much.
It was like right. I think it was after like Alice in Wonderland. It was around the same time when they did the Johnny Depp Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, you want to talk about someone who has, who can sport the ruby red lips and the dark hair and the extremely pale, actually pale, paper white, Snow White skin? Anne Hathaway. And I'm not saying cast Anne Hathaway as Snow White. I think she is too old for the role, but it can be done. Women like that exist.
I mean, if we put Anya Taylor-Joy and stuff, you could have put her in that.
There you go.
Dye her hair.
Put a wig on her, I don't know. It's to me, it's once again, it feels like a thing of forced diversity, and I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense. And it annoys the crap out of me. This is actually what I can speak on though, because like, or I can be more outspoken with, at least because I'm Hispanic, so I can say no, I don't want that.
So and I don't know, I feel like that's just you've provided reason why not her, why not that IP. You know what I'm saying? Given that it's Snow White, we don't want that story. But it's like one thing about and I'm not gonna say I'm completely on board with remakes, but one of the things I'm beginning to understand with remakes is as times change, people have a hard time relating to certain things from the past. As much as I enjoy Goonies and can sit and watch Goonies, my kids like suffered through that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I was never a big fan of Goonies,
and for me, it holds more nostalgia than anything because, of course, there's a lot of stuff that's in those older movies that are very problematic and they don't fly today. You know what I'm saying? But of course, I grew up in one of those times where it was like, you know what? If you got picked on, it built character. You get over it. Now you pick on somebody, you're a bully, and it is a different time. It is a different age.
Then too, we just recognize it now.
Right. Well, no, we do something about it now. We don't let it continue, and but right. Nonetheless, it's like if you are this actress and they offer this role, like, do you not go out and audition for it? Do you hold out to find that right thing? Because on the one hand, there's work and there's like the opportunity to put something on screen that doesn't exist. But if the backlash,
I mean, it's a double. I think it's a double-edged sword. It's like, one, we should be upset with the executives in the studios who do these things, right? Like, they're the ones that are making these choices to consistently like not allow underrepresented communities to be able to tell their own stories. So those people have to feel like, okay, now I have to go in and I have to go play their game in order to do it. It's so hard to be an actress. It's so hard to get any opportunities where if you get a big opportunity like that, you know what's going to come with it eventually. Like, there's not a lot of buzz about this movie yet because everybody's still mad about Little Mermaid being black and Tinkerbell being black. And as soon as they find out Snow White is not white, they'll be on her too next. But it's like, you got to be mad at the studios, but then there is an element of personal responsibility. It's like Hollywood Shuffle, right? Like, Robert Townsend made that movie because he didn't like the kinds of auditions he was being sent on to play pimps and coons and all these kind of like degrading black characters. And the whole ethos of the movie is like, there's always work at the post office, right? So he's kind of calling on actors to preserve their dignity and just like go get work somewhere else. But like, you can't tell somebody that if they're following their passion and their dream, and then this is what they get handed. It's like, it's a hard thing to ask somebody to pass up.
There is still a certain level of responsibility that they need to take. And if not, then they need to deal with the backlash of dealing with the fact that they're kind of a horrible person. 100%. Even when it comes to that, like Scarlett Johansson is probably the worst / best example of that. Worse than she is absolutely a horrible person. Yeah. But best because she has taken it to the extreme, not just with taking like controversial roles, including, of course, the probably one of the more popular ones, the Ghost I don't know what I'm talking about. Which one I'm talking about? What is that one called?
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell, yeah. But doubling down on it, saying, "Oh, I'm an actress, so if I need to play someone who's this, and this, then I can play them, and if not, then that's not my, then I'm not doing my job." Blah blah blah. Listen, stop it. You're stupid. All right, that's just it. At the end of the day, you're stupid. That being said, I've never liked Scarlett Johansson anyway, and it seems I was right to not like her all along because she is a horrible person.
Your personal feelings aren't gonna make me think that she's not a good actress. She does have some questionable stuff, and there are, and this is part of this is me playing devil's advocate and whatnot, and there's I
think she's an actress. I don't think she's like some amazing whatever.
No, I'm not gonna
she's an actress.
put her on a pedestal and like.
She's not like. She definitely is
winning no
overrated
awards.
in my opinion, but
No,
she was just an it girl for a while, is all it is.
Right. I mean, a lot of times she was just the pretty girl, and that was it. And didn't do any heavy lifting until a little bit later. And it's not like, unfortunately, it's not like Black Widow's been like still in the spotlight. She's lucked up, had a good role with that, and took forever for them to do anything when the opportunity was there. So by the time it came around, it was fizzled. But Pugh has come in. Florence Pugh has come in and just like, Black Widow who? Let me get that one. She's better. I like her. But what's interesting is, and this is a conversation for another day. And David, if you would just look into this for me, there's a word. I know it exists. I don't know what the word is. One of the arguments that came up, I remember when that movie came out, when Ghost in the Shell first came out, one of the conversations that came up was she still looked like the Major. Now, the problem was, well, I mean, everybody knows the problem. She was playing an Asian female, but she was playing an Asian female who was designed to look like an American woman. So technically, she would have been playing herself. The character, and of course, like there's that whole scene, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, there's a whole scene where she goes back to visit her original house of who she was when she was human, et cetera, et cetera. And so then you come to realize that, like, if you didn't already know going in, you come to realize that, like, oh, she is an Asian woman. What? And so, of course, there was that whole bit thing. A conversation arose from that, and it was, in a sense, the confusing nature sometimes of what we are to understand to be versus what we see. In anime, for the untrained, David, don't let me trip on this. Anime, a lot of times for the untrained, can be very confusing because the character models and the character designs are not always, shall we say, clear.
Right.
There is a reason that they are drawn the way they are drawn, and it is oftentimes for a more general appeal, but that's also why you have characters with pink hair, blue hair, green hair, and they have these weird, wild hairstyles because they're not.
Are you talking about the fact that all of them, like most anime characters, have the exact same face aside from maybe a slightly different eye color or eye shape, different eye color and different hair color?
No, it's not that. I mean, like to touch it on the nose, it's that most anime characters look white. You can't definitive. Okay, like if you pull up an image of Tanjiro, for example, from Demon Slayer, you can't look at Tanjiro if it wasn't for his name. You know what I'm saying? Naruto Uzumaki. You know what I'm saying? Like you can pick up these names sometimes, and that will be the clear indication. Or if you see something and like they talk about where they live, obviously these Japanese characters, these are Chinese characters, these are Asian characters. So it's like clearly these are Asian people that you're looking at. But sometimes because they look a particular way, you can't.
Well, I think Sailor Moon's a great example of that.
Well, there you and
Usagi absolutely looks like your stereotypical, American girl. But like I'll do you one better, Sam. I'll take it a step further. A lot of the times in anime and including JRPG type games, whenever they do create people of different races or at least of different skin colors, specifically of darker skin colors, they don't adopt the facial features.
Yeah.
The facials, they always have little tiny, cute, little, almost non-existent noses. They always have very small, thin, delicate lips, all that kind of stuff. But they have, but their skin is really dark. There's our representation. Here's our black character.
Or
how come they have
caricature.
I was about to say, or they go to the far extreme.
They go to the extreme. Like I was just telling David, like in Final Fantasy, or like playing Final Fantasy 14 right now, it kind of annoys me that they don't really have different nose options. They've got like 4 or 5 nose options, but it's like, okay, do you want one that's this size? Do you want it to where it turns up slightly, turns down slightly, or is maybe a millimeter wider. That's it. Those are your options. So like David's character, he looks like just a really tan white dude.
That's, you know what? That's that. Oof.
And he shouldn't. And like my character looks like a less tanned white woman, because it's the really tiny little, and honestly that's the thing that plagues media in I know in like China and India. They the actresses that are quote unquote more desirable or more popular are ones who have very Eurocentric standards of beauty. But that continues to be, I think that's a big part of representation as well. You're going to give me representation, give me believable representation, give me actual diversity. Don't just say, oh, well, we added new skin colors in, but you didn't add any kind of different hairstyles for different textures.
There was something I was playing. There was a game I played.
That's why everybody should be a fan of Star Trek. They get it all right.
Well, Star Trek's gotten it right or almost right from the beginning. There's still a lot of misogyny in the earlier Star Treks, but regardless,
yes,
they were aggressive and they fixed a lot of it as they.
Oh, they have. They've seen it and they of course corrected. No pun intended. But yeah, they've fixed it. Yeah, like
set phasers to fix, right?
Exactly. But you know how much I would kill for Final Fantasy 14 to add in different textured hairstyles and not just like, oh well, here's a fro and here's some dreads. Give me something in between too. Let me put my hair in the game. And yes, I can have my hair look like a white woman's. I just need to apply styling and heat to it. But like, you know, I want something where like what my hair looks like on a regular basis. I just wash and wear.
There was something I played recently and I was doing the customization or the character creation. And I was like, wow, because the hair selection. Actually, you know what? It was
David gets pissed off.
Samurai game. No, hold on. It was a new samurai game that was just added to Game Pass.
Well,
about to say, David, it sounds like what you were
Wulong.
playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wulong had an impressive array of customization. And one of the other things I thought was really, really cool is like, I feel like almost all of the hair options were open for all of the characters. It wasn't like men's hair, women's hair. It was like, here's the hair selection. And even some of the dreads, they had like a couple of different styles. They did, I'm thinking about like they didn't have a cornrows option, but I think for the time period it would have been appropriate. So I get it. No cornrows. But I was able to make a very believable character, and I was very pleased and just shocked that there were as many options as there were. So that was definitely a plus. I would say keep an eye on the not Cinderella, but the Snow White thing. But you know what? Probably not, because it's another live action. I mean, just because it's going to continue to be something that I think is good. It's going to bring up more controversy, and I'm curious, and I want to see how it plays out. And I want to know if the colorism plays a part in this.
David,
as well.
the healer's dead.
But that's a topic for another day.
I can't do anything either.
So shout out to everyone who jumped in and checked us out. Jeff, I would have given you a whole spotlight, but as you had indicated, you haven't seen Mario Brothers.
Yeah, so I'm gonna see it. I'm taking my son to see it next week with my little sister. So
we'll touch back on it a little later, and maybe by next week we'll get around. Actually, I don't even know that Dungeons and Dragons needs a major review. I enjoyed it. There's a lot of stuff I can point to and be like, ooh. But
I'd rather do our own D&D than actually talk about the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
and
honestly,
to me, like as an outsider,
to
me as like an outsider, it seems like something that's more enjoyable to do yourself than like it's like I enjoy Vox Machina. There was one that was on Netflix. I forget the name of
Arcane,
but no, not Arcane. That's
Vox
the one
Machina.
based on League of Legends. No, there's another
Vox Machina.
Vox Machina is on Amazon. He
Oh,
said there's one on Netflix.
There's one on. I'm gonna find it right now. But yeah, I think I'm down to, like I've been saying for a while in Grown and Geeks, I'm down to do a.
I talked with the kid, and we're gonna put together a one shot. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna pre-make some characters and have like
Dragon
the stats and
Age
everything.
Absolution is the name of it.
Yeah, D&D-esque, very much so.
Yeah,
very much so.
Like I like the idea of D&D, but I feel like it's almost impossible to do those, like to be able to do D&D on a regular basis as an adult.
I mean, honestly,
especially the larger group people you have, the harder it is.
It is once you get into the swing of it, it's scheduling just like anything else. And I have 1 day a week blocked off, and I don't have to fight. Trying to get 2 or 3 days a week blocked off could prove difficult. So
I know
our
David,
session 0 will probably be like a midday Sunday or something earlier in the day that may work out. And then it'll probably be a Wednesday when we come in here and get together and do it. But we are going to put together a one shot. My son is going to pre-make some characters, and he will let you choose race and class, but the character will already be made up.
Make me a character that's just the most generic fucking female you could try. Make me Princess Peach from the Mario movie. There you go. That's the most generic female character I can think of.
I'm gonna make you Rachel Zegler from Snow White. Make it even more generic.
No, she at least has some spice. There's some tahini thrown on there at least. God.
Well, stepmama Gal Gadot, so I don't know. I'm looking at that like, Anyway.
I'd rather be Gal Gadot.
Right. That one, I did find another photo where the two of them are together, and it was like, okay, that seems like that could work. She looks like she would be her stepmom. But you know what? I'm shocked it wasn't like Jenny Ortega as Snow White. You know,
you want to talk about an it girl? It's everywhere right now. It's her. Not that I don't mind her. You know, cool, whatever. But like, you know, she's just the latest crush that everyone has on the brooding brunette. It was Aubrey Plaza for a while. Now it's Jenna Ortega.
No, it's still Aubrey Plaza. Like
Aubrey Plaza still has her fanboys.
Yeah, I was about to say it's still her.
But
Jenny Ortega
as far as what she gets
for Wednesday, but
no one's casting Aubrey Plaza in anything, and no one has.
Actually, she's in a movie right now that just came out. It's her, Jason Statham. Who else was in it?
Right, so hashtag she is still in movies, but no one's talking about this stuff. No one's talking about Aubrey Plaza anymore. Not aside from like a passing thing of she comes up in conversation. Oh my God, I love her. She's my spirit animal. And then that's it.
I specifically put shit in my queue because she was in it. So I guess I fall into that fanboy category.
Like I said, you know, I like her as an actress for the most part. You know, I mean, it's kind of a one-trick pony kind of thing, but like, you know.
Yeah. I'm like, are you like this?
Like, honestly, I was watching. I've been rewatching.
I
Glow.
think it's a bit to, you know what I'm saying? It's like you need that kind of character.
Well, enough.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing.
Do a regular Tonight Show interview.
No, I think that's.
I've been rewatching Glow recently, and there's a character in Glow that's pretty much just. I guarantee you, they wrote for her character as far as how they wanted her to act like Aubrey Plaza. That was it, because that's how she. And on top of it, she looks almost exactly like Aubrey Plaza.
Probably based on or something like that.
It's probably a huge inspo at least. It does also star. Oh God, what's her name? There it is, Alison Brie. Yeah, I was gonna say BoJack and Community and like that's speaking of which that kind of falls into what we were talking about before about taking roles because they're, you know, either you audition for them or they're offered to you, even whenever it's of a different race or demographic than you actually are. And that's Alison Brie as Oh God, I can't do names today. Her character in BoJack was Asian, and
Diane.
that was a bit of a Diane. I remember the last name, the Nguyen, but like yeah, Diane Nguyen. And she does a
Same
great
thing
job.
with Jenny.
Like she,
Yeah,
but
same
on
thing
top
with
of
Jenny
it,
Slater,
she
Big Mouth.
yeah, she does a great job with it, but at the same time, like it could have gone to an Asian actress. On top of it, it could have gone to an actual Vietnamese actress, specifically. So, you know, as wonderful as an actress as I think she is, I also think that she just plays a certain personality type as well, and that's kind of her thing.
I think the
I'll
only,
say
and I
this:
can't even say
if
a
you playing
pass.
another race, only time you need to be playing other races if you're doing something like what Robert Downey Jr. did in Tropic Thunder, where you're making a commentary on how stupid it is for you to think that you should be playing somebody who is a color who you are not.
Exactly.
Other than that, just like go sit down.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was about to say, I think it is I won't say the exception to that, but it's like if it wasn't for the fact that Family Guy has like such a very small voice cast, the guy that's been doing Cleveland at this point, it's like it sounds weird for anybody else to do Cleveland. And the first couple of episodes, I get it, but that was something that should have been corrected a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it has gone into a really like weird place. But then on the other hand, it's like you should kind of already know you're watching Seth MacFarlane and not expect much from him. So like you're kind of, you can't like I don't watch Family Guy.
If you watch the Orville though, I feel like he got a lot of that stuff right, but he is using Star Trek as a template. So it's like,
well, keep in mind too, like Seth MacFarlane is one of those people who, at least I've noticed throughout his career, that he's open to learning whenever he's wrong and correcting those mistakes,
right,
as best he can. So obviously not all the time, but as best he can. He tends to be like, and on top of it, he tends to be open-minded with people that he networks with and talks to. So there's like the whole thing of him having the actual devil on Family Guy one time. He had Rush Limbaugh, and with Seth MacFarlane being such a huge, you know, liberal, that was like such a big thing. It's like actually the only episode of Family Guy I think my dad ever watched, because it had Rush Limbaugh on it. And unfortunately, it's one of the things that that side of the political spectrum tends to do, is take advantage of people who don't know better. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. We're not trying to get into politics like that, but it just goes to show that like Seth MacFarlane is one of those people who tends to be more open-minded overall, even for stuff that he is against, unless it's something that's like very obviously kind of against thing. But yeah, if that makes any sense. I know I don't always get my points across super well.
It does make sense, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, because and this kind of goes back to what we were saying as far as voice acting. The character of Cleveland Brown has such a unique sound that I don't hear Cleveland Brown's voice and think to myself, that's how black guys talk.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, it's that like, you know, it's like, okay, I'm fine with Cleveland Brown sounding like that because that's just what Cleveland sounds like.
Yeah, that's what he's always sounded like.
But then when you get to the Cleveland show, okay, that's better. Now we have some voice acting that sounds more what I would expect it to sound like. And it's not like there was
except from him.
Because it's still Seth MacFarlane being Seth MacFarlane.
Oh,
and
okay.
Cleveland Brown being Cleveland Brown.
Can I give a hot take, but not hot take?
Well, let me throw this one last party.
Go ahead.
You got Kevin Michael Richardson on payroll. I need more than just Jerome. Kevin Michael Richardson is like that is a very well-known voice actor. So he just regulated to Jerome. And even the character of Jerome is like played for laughs. So it's just like, that could have been Cleveland Brown, and Cleveland would have had a spinoff. Anyway, what's your hot take? And we're going to wrap.
Okay. So Mila Kunis walked so that Aubrey Plaza could run. Because Mila Kunis, not quite as brooding as Aubrey Plaza, but it's that it just overly sassy, slightly broody brunette. Especially when it comes to one that has a deeper voice. It's a very, very specific flavor, and they're the same flavor.
I mean, I can see it. They definitely all are in that like dark hair, white lady, brooding vibe mode. There's like there's definitely like a through line of that through Hollywood history for sure.
It's the same with Jenna Ortega. And honestly, it kind of spans races because you can get that similar kind of flavor otherwise. But the most common is that it's that broody, at the very least, white passing brunette female who's also sassy, a little disrespectful. Campbell. Yeah, it's
the girl?
Yeah.
Other girl from The Craft.
Who?
She was in Waterboy too. The white girl, the white girl in The Craft who turned bad for real.
Yeah.
She was in Waterboy. She got the teeth.
Hey, I know exactly what you're talking about. But you know what's funny? I didn't even know that was the same girl from Eternal
Selma Blair.
No, not Selma.
That wasn't Selma Blair.
No, I was just
naming another one.
Dark hair, brooding white girls.
Yeah. No, I would say Selma Blair, I would go with the girl from the first Scream.
Well, like think of
Nev Campbell.
There it is. Yeah, and like think of Selma Blair like in
so the rest of them can run.
Think of Selma Blair in Legally Blonde.
But I mean,
and
even
think of how she was in Hellboy. Yeah, think of how she was in Hellboy even.
Yeah. Oh, but see now, if we're going with Winona Ryder, we go back to Brat Pack, Breakfast Club. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Ali Sheedy, Ione Skye. I mean, you got like there's a through line of like, if you don't have dark hair in the movie, you're not gonna be happy.
That's how
you can't have dark hair and laugh.
Aside from Belle, and we got screwed with Emma Watson.
See, and
she ended up playing a blonde instead of an actual brunette. So
I guess that's why I was like, okay, now that's a little different. Because I'm just thinking of myself, I'm like, when I think of Mila Kunis, although you get a lot of her with the attitude, so to speak, you also I really just think of her as like, you see her smile a lot.
It's less. Right. Well, that's what I was saying. For her, it's less brooding and more sassy.
Yeah,
but there is still that broody nature to it. Honestly, Donna kind of had more of was more broody in my opinion than Mila Kunis. But I mean, if you want, you can take it a step further and look at that. Oh God, what's her face? The one who played Donna, that actress. Whenever she was in Orange Is the New Black, she's now a brunette. She's a lot more broody.
She's broodier.
She's somehow broodier. She's not like she takes the redhead broody and kicks it up a notch to the brunette broody, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's DJ Fast. You know what, man? We're gonna have to we'll give Power Rangers a week. More people will get a chance to watch it, and we'll jump in here because I think it just got released. I watched it today.
It just came out today.
Y'all can talk Power Rangers on a show that I'm not on. How about that? Because I don't really care.
Yeah, I gotta watch it still. I'm probably gonna watch it after this. I was watching Mandalorian season finale.
See, and that's what I was getting ready to try to do, but think the wife, like she's, I don't know, maybe I can get her to sit through it because she's working from home tomorrow, but can't have her late, can't keep her up, and I can't watch it without her. So she'll feel some kind of way if she does not watch it with me. So may have to hold off or just reset the Disney Plus after that.
I might eventually get around to Mandalorian, but yeah. Especially since Pedro Pascal is all in the spotlight now, and now he's everyone's daddy.
Right, like the
not mine.
Just the universal.
I get it.
He's Space Daddy. He Woods Daddy. Like if you a random lost child,
he's everyone's daddy. He's everyone's daddy who's either attracted to men or who are confident in their sexuality. That's whose dad he is. But I mean, like I said, I get it. He has kind of like a goofiness to him outside of his roles, and people love that. But
I honestly, I like Mandalorian. I think is the only thing I've seen him in. So it's like he's good if and when that's him in the suit, he good. But I didn't watch Last of Us, so I don't have like really.
But it's not just Last of Us; it's also Narcos and some other stuff he's been in.
Weird pigeon-toed walk. You'll know when it's him in the suit. He has this really weird pigeon-toed walk.
He does, but it's kind of cute, so it's okay.
I guess. I mean, I suppose I've never thought like, oh, they have a cute. Well, no, I have thought that, but I've never looked at it
because like it's a thing. It's not like it's like, oh, sexy, I'm gonna throw him in bed. But it's a thing of like, it shows that it's not something that he's really like self-confident about. He's just being himself.
Right.
You know, it's a low maintenance. I think it's a sign of low maintenance, which a lot of women like. And that's kind of like that was a thing I saw the other day of people trying to show that they didn't get, God, where the hell am I taking this pumpkin? Sorry. They people were trying, someone was doing like a TikTok saying that like, oh, women like this kind of man and this kind of man and this kind of man, and it's all like Andrew Tate style kind of things. It's like, no, y'all don't understand. Have y'all seen the type of like the men that women have simped for over the last 5 years? None of them match that style, and not a lot of them were macho either. It's people like Tom Hiddleston and Pedro Pascal. It's people that seem super accessible and just like down to earth and just like you know, they're not
if you and a bunch of men. If you and a bunch of other men are sitting around talking about what kind of men women like, just unplug the podcast microphones, log off, because like, why? Like you shouldn't be trying to tell women what they like. That's how we got in. That's how we get in all this. That's how we got Princess Peach messed up. That's how we get all this stuff messed up.
Right.
According to these men, women don't actually know what they want because men have all the answers. According to these men, men know.
The only time women don't know what they want is when it's time to get something to eat. Other than that,
listen, men are just as bad. So don't you dare throw that on us too. Thank you.
We can agree to disagree on that.
If
we eating by ourselves, most dudes would just go.
Oh yeah.
But
same with women.
Like,
most women,
where you want to eat,
eating by themselves, no problem. But it becomes a problem whenever you end up having another person you're taking into consideration, because then you want to make sure you don't pick something they don't necessarily like, and you don't want to like have that rejection there, and you also don't want to be like, oh well, you know, I really want this, and then they eat it, but you know they don't really like it. It becomes a whole complicated thing. So that I don't believe is necessarily gendered. I think that's more of an issue with just being too considerate with your partner or just not caring, one or the other. But yeah, I don't think that's necessarily gendered. Otherwise, call David a woman and call me a dude. Like that's just like, same with my parents, switch their roles. Same with like every single other couple friends that I have, where it goes back and forth all the time. The men don't know what they want to eat whenever they're eating with their partner. The women don't know what they want to eat when they're eating with their partner. So it has nothing to do with gender. Sorry for the rant.
No. I mean, that is the complete opposite scenario that I've experienced. But I've also learned just in general, I limit options. Like I try to do a good job of just altering. It's literally altering the words. Because if I say, instead of saying, where do you want to eat? I start off, do you know where you want to eat?
Like are you feeling anything right now? Or
right. Do you have a taste for anything in particular?
Like the best option, honestly, is to do exactly that. See what they're feeling right now. If they don't really give you much of an option still, or they do, either way, you tailor the next answer to that, or the next question to that answer. And that is, what about this, or this?
Or
you
this.
give them a couple of options.
There you go.
That's it.
So that has worked very well, and my wife would do the same thing. And a lot of times, I also like
your wife will do the same thing, because what was that? Sometimes you don't know what you want to eat either, Sam. What? A man not knowing what he wants to eat? That's insane.
I don't think that was what I said at all.
Or you said it was contrary to what, like, your, like,
the situation that we have. Because in my experiences, because if there's a scenario where I don't know what I want to eat, it is still not difficult for me to make a decision and pick that.
Same here.
And so that part of it, like I said, if it's a situation where maybe I'm not hungry at that exact moment, but my wife is hungry, and then it's like, well, what do you want to eat? Because I'm not hungry, I don't have a preference at this time. So if I'm thinking, like, what am I going to want to eat in a few hours from now? Yes, I probably don't know that. But even then, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have go-tos. I like this. If those one of the options, and I'm going to say, like, we can do this, we can do that, I'll make those suggestions. But again, that's an individual thing. I'm not defending men as a whole by saying women can't decide.
And even at the end of the day, if that is actually true, which it's not, but if it were, it's completely understandable. Why? Because women tend to get stuck with making most of the decisions anyway. Every now and then it's nice to just kind of turn off and let someone else make that decision, or lay out the decisions for us to narrow it down. So like I said, once again, hashtag not all relationships, hashtag not all women, but hashtag not all men. But that tends to be a big thing. Honestly, David and I both burn out from decision making, and we both have to try and recognize that in each other. A lot of the times I tend to do a lot more of the planning in the relationship with stuff, and managing finances, and like managing our social schedule and what we're going to do and what's going on and what are we going to eat for dinner. And I get tired sometimes. I get tired a lot of the times. But I also know that, sometimes, David's got other things on his mind, and he struggles with those decisions too. So, yeah. I'm going up a group of like all guys, so I'm just kind of talking to walls right here. But
no, yeah. I mean, like, if I defend that or say anything against it, then it's.
I'm just listening.
I'm
hearing what you're saying.
What I'm not going to do.
I was just joking. I was just joking as well. I don't mean that, but I also feel like yes, you should be able to say all that, because there are people who need to hear that. I'm not one of them. I do all the cooking in my house, and
I'm sorry if I tend to snap on certain things like that. Y'all know that especially when it comes to like gendered issues, that kind of is a bit of a hot button for me. From my background and everything, and yeah.
And so and that's why you never see me, like, if there's something that I don't understand or disagree with, we will talk it, we will hash it out, and I will try to like get a better understanding.
It also doesn't help the fact that I'm usually the only woman that's on here.
And I get that, but that's also why I want you to know that it's always a safe space whenever you talk, and I'm not going to directly contradict you and be like, that's wrong. And
no, that's only David who does that.
It is
right, David.
My experiences. I mean, like, he got the ring, I don't. So if y'all want to have that hashtag, work it out. But man, we could have taught Power Rangers, but we have 43 more minutes. Okay, we finna dip. I want to thank everybody for being on the show tonight. Go see Mario. Go check it out. Let's get this thing all the way up there so that we can continue to get movies made like this. If this is your wheelhouse, the type of stuff that you want to see, then hey, this is what you got to do. You got to support it. Let it keep breaking records. I think it started off as being the highest grossing video game movie. Then it became it's like now on track to be the highest grossing animated film.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking Mario might do $1 billion. And it's a good movie. I don't know how it did $1 billion, but let's see it.
Oh, this is Mario.
Right. Let's see it. But I mean, it's definitely
Anya Taylor-Joy.
She's part of a $1
That's
billion
what it is.
franchise.
Everyone
You know
is
what?
specifically going to buy tickets to the movie just to see her mediocre performance. Once
Just
again,
to
not a
see.
statement on her character or her actor, like as a person herself or as an actress, but absolutely a criticism of the guys who, like the men who wrote her role.
If they decide to go with an animated Metroid, I'm gonna put her name in for it.
Well,
for an opportunity to redeem herself.
Supposedly Nintendo, no, I don't want her as Samus. We're good. Let's get another. Listen, blondes in LA are a dime a dozen. Let's get another one. All right. Anyway,
actually, I picked a brunette when we fan casted that. Make sure to go check that out. Check out our live action fan casted for Metroid. You can see who we all picked.
Yeah.
What you saying in LA with the Mario?
No, so supposedly Nintendo has a bunch of other movies in the works based on their franchises, on their IPs. So we might be getting a Zelda movie at some point. We might be getting. I can't see them doing Metroid. As much as I know all of you guys really like it, it doesn't really have a lot of it's not one of their larger pulling IPs with the general public.
No.
Everyone knows Zelda. I mean, they think that Link is Zelda, but everyone knows Zelda. Everyone knows Mario.
Sorry.
And I will say Mario's been around for quite some time, and in some capacity, you have seen Mario on something.
Mario is like Mickey Mouse.
Right. He is, and honestly, you could have any. I think for the longest time, my dad specifically called every game console we had an Nintendo because that was all he knew.
It's like how
everything was a Nintendo. We could be talking about, can I get this game for my PlayStation? You want something else for that Nintendo? No, I want something for my PlayStation. It's same thing. No, it's different. Okay, you know what? I see this conversation's going nowhere, Mom. Because it was like, what's the point? But
I was blessed with gamer parents, so
see, my kids have been blessed with gamer parents, or at least a gamer dad. We gonna do this all night. I'm not gonna keep doing this with y'all. Stop bringing me into conversation.
I think David needs to say something before we close out, though. He's been very quiet. David, say something.
I'm tired.
Okay, there we go.
There it is. All right, we will come back.
Sam, you cut out. Yeah. Okay. So, hi guys.
Right, cool.
So, we're wrapping things up. Sam just got on mute. That's fine. He doesn't like us. That's okay. I see how it is.
Check us out every Wednesday at Grown A Geeks.
We're too much of sassy brunettes for him to handle. So he couldn't handle the sassiness or the brunetteness of us. I guess I have enough roots that I've grown in by now. I'm kind of brunette again. Yeah, I think we have to wait for him to come back to
we
close
can't
out the live.
end the live.
Yeah. So hey guys, rock paper scissors with the people who actually have cameras. Y'all go. Come on, let's go. Come on, rock paper scissors. David, let's go. Come on. All right. You'll have to do it at the right time. Do it off the camera, and then you pull them up at the same time. Okay. So rock paper scissors shoot. David wins.
Looks like he is still here. I don't know what's going on over there.
Well, for Sam, David, and Linda, I'm Jeffrey. Check us out. Join the Facebook group. I don't know what we're doing next week, but we'll post it in the group for everybody to figure out what we're doing. We're probably going to talk Power Rangers, probably going to talk a little Mandalorian, and yeah, I don't know what else. But Sam's telling us to close it out. So peace. And I guess he'll press the button backstage.
No?
Or not.
Okay.
And we can just keep looking at each other.
Him saying the let's wrap